Chapter 1054. Kong Sengyi led the Kong Valley's people to escape in a panic, as if something was chasing after them. Seeing Chao Lu and the others, a group of people hurriedly flew over. Kong Sengyi? When did you get here? How did this happen? Chao Lu knew Kong Sengyi. He was surprised to see her come over with people. Before this, he didn't even know that the Kong Valley's people were here. Kong Sengyi was delighted to see Chao Lu. Chao Lu, why are you here? She flew over with her people. Her dress was tattered and dirty. What's wrong with you? Chao Lu rarely saw her like this and asked. Kong Sengyi hesitated for a moment, his expression flickering. We were attacked by spirit beasts over there. Attacked by spirit beasts? Zhong Zhengquan looked at her. You have the smell of an ape on you. You guys went to look for an ape just now, right? Kong Sengyi's expression was a little unnatural, as if she had been exposed. However, her expression made them even more certain that the spirit beast she was talking about was the ape. Isn't that ape injured? Why can't you beat it? Zhong Zhengquan asked. Kong Sengyi saw that they had indeed found out. He rolled his eyes and said, well, although he's injured, he's still very strong. There are so many of us, yet we can't beat him. I don't think so, Zhong Zhenghai said. You have the smell of other spirit beasts on your body. The one chasing you isn't the old ape, but that spirit beast. This. You guessed wrong, Kong Sengyi denied. Impossible. Zhong Zhengquan didn't believe it. The aura on your bodies is the aura of the spiritual beast that fought with the old ape. A disciple of the Yin Yang Palace shouted. Are you sure? Yes, young palace master. This is definitely the scent of that spirit beast. That person said with certainty. We escaped from its aura, so we definitely won't be mistaken. Xiang Yi, we can be considered old acquaintances. Is there a need for you to lie to me? Chao Lu said with a smile. It's not that I don't want to tell you, but the current situation. Kong Sengyi's bashful look made Chao Lu even more certain of his thoughts. Xiang Yi, did you get the blood of the auspicious beast? He walked over excitedly, wanting to grab Kong Sengyi's hand, but she dodged. Kong Sengyi looked at Chao Lu cautiously and said, Chao Lu, what are you trying to do? This auspicious beast's blood has already been poisoned by my Kong Valley. Even if you snatch it, you can't use it. The smile on Chao Li's face stiffened, and then returned to normal. He smiled and said, What kind of friendship do we have? If you really get the blood of the auspicious beast, we can't wait to be happy for you. How can we snatch it from you? Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. Kong Sengyi looked at him. If he did anything wrong, she would immediately poison him. What thoughts can I have? You're thinking too much. Chao Lu said. But did you really get the auspicious beast's blood? Yes. Kong Sengyi absolutely had nothing to hide at this time. We found the auspicious beast. He was injured and wasn't our opponent. But if he fought with his life on the line, we wouldn't have any advantage. So we made an agreement with him. He gave us some blood, then we wouldn't fight with him. Then how did you get injured? Chao Lu asked. We were tricked by that old ape. Kong Sengyi gritted her teeth and said, We thought that he really didn't want to fight with us, so he agreed to give us his blood. In the end, that guy didn't have good intentions. He gave us his blood to lead his enemy to us. So you were injured by the spirit beast that injured the ape? Zhong Zhengsongmao said. Kong Sengyi nodded. That spirit beast's strength is very strong. Even if we have so many people, we're not its opponent. Why didn't you bring more people here? Like us, are you afraid of that spirit beast? Chao Lu said proudly. Kong Sengyi looked at their people. Indeed, they had more people than them by half. But we already got what we wanted. We'll leave first. Kong Sengyi finished speaking and waved to Kong Valley's people. Those people followed her and left. Yin Yang Palace and Zhongzheng clan's people saw them leave and looked at Chao Lu anxiously. If they directly snatched their auspicious beast's blood, then they wouldn't have to look for the ape. Compared to going into the mountain range, the risk of the Kong Valley's people was much lower. But Chao Lu and Zhongzhengsongmao didn't say anything. They didn't dare to take any action. They could only watch the Kong Valley's people leave. Young Palace Master, why didn't we stop them? Seeing Kong Sengyi and them out of sight, he finally couldn't hold it in and asked, "If the Kong Valley's people tampered with the blood, what can we do?" Chao Le glared at that person. He still wanted to snatch Kong Sengyi's auspicious beast's blood. But would that be useful? The answer was no. And he would offend the Kong Valley's people for nothing. Kong Valley's poison isn't something we can solve. You should keep this idea. Zongjung Songmao said. Instead of thinking about that, why not think about how to catch that auspicious beast? Now there's one thing for sure. That ape situation isn't good. If we can find him, we have a high chance of catching him. Zongjung Hai said. That's right. Chao Le said. So you guys have to be alert. Since you know where the auspicious beast is, don't back down. Yes. Everyone answered loudly. But we have to be careful. The deeper we go into the mountain range, the more dangerous it is. You can't act recklessly. Zongjung Songmao said. Also, the old ape's enemy is looking for him. We have to avoid that enemy. Young master, don't worry. We have already memorized that smell. If we encounter it, we should be able to avoid it. Zongjung Quan said. Since everyone understands, then let's prepare to go in. Chao Le said. Wait a minute. Zongjung Songmao stopped them again. What's wrong with you again? Chao Le looked at him unhappily. Someone is approaching. Zongjung Songmao looked at the direction they came from and said, could it be that someone found out that the old ape is here? Everyone looked back. When they saw the people approaching, they became alert. Qin Mo and Qin Hong. Zongjung Quan said, Qin Mo is here too. Seeing Qin Mo, Chao Le gritted his teeth. He couldn't wait to tear him apart. It could be seen how bad the relationship between Qin family and Yinyang Palace was. Qin Mo brought people and flew over. When he saw Yinyang Palace's people, he stopped in midair. Both sides looked at each other. The atmosphere became tense instantly. It was as if they would fight at any time. Remember after reading, it's convenient for the next time. Chapter 1055. There was one more thing that Mou did not mention. It was not because he sensed the chaos that he felt her important role in the chaos, but because he came into contact with her. There were only two reasons for such a situation. Firstly, she played an important role in the chaos, and secondly, she was the cause of the chaos. After thinking about it, he felt that the possibility of the second reason was not high. How could the world of spirits and souls be in chaos because of one person? So he concluded that it was the first reason. But the one that he felt was impossible was the truth. There's still something that I don't understand. Sima Yue said. Say it. Even if I play a role in the chaos in the future, you're not that kind of person. Why are you teaching me? Sima Yue asked. Because I'm bored. Mou said. Although the world of spirits and souls is in chaos, to me, it's been peaceful for a long time. It's been a long time since I've seen a commotion. My mother's incident back then wasn't considered a commotion? I didn't participate in your mother's incident. How could it be considered a commotion? Mou said, and that incident wasn't considered a big deal, so it wasn't considered a commotion. Sima Yue was speechless. Deja said that incident back then was a hot topic in the world of spirits and souls, but in his eyes, it wasn't considered a commotion? All right, do you have any other questions? If not, can we start now? Mou asked. All right. Sima Yue kept the other questions in her heart. No matter what purpose he had in mind to teach her, she would learn it first. As for other things, she would just deal with it as it came. And that was something that would happen after she went to the world of spirits and souls. Perhaps Mou had never taught a disciple before, so the way he taught her the dark skills was very simple. He explained the method to her once, then covered it up. Then he let her practice according to the method just now, while he enjoyed the tea by the side. It was only because he met a talented person like Sima Yue that he was able to understand the essence of these underworld skills under such a free teaching method. Sima Yue might have inherited her mother's talent. She had a natural ability to comprehend underworld skills. No matter how difficult the underworld skill Mou taught her, she could comprehend it within a day. Although she did not practice it very well, it was just a matter of time. When Mou saw her learning speed, he was shocked. Based on her learning speed, wouldn't it take her a lot of time to learn all the underworld techniques and spirit techniques in the world? However, Sima Yue did not think so. Although she had inherited her mother's talent, other conditions were also indispensable. For example, the Tao that she had comprehended was the most powerful, most primitive, and closest to the heavenly Tao that had appeared so far. This was of great help to her in comprehending the essence of the netherworld. It could even be said that this was largely due to this. Another very important reason was Mou's teaching method. Although he only explained the method and demonstrated it once, he was still an almighty in the devil realm. His understanding of these underworld skills was not something that an ordinary person could compare with. Although what he taught was simple, it was the purest of them all. Furthermore, Sima Yue would receive the most accurate guidance every time she had a question. This helped Sima Yue to avoid many detours. After Mou saw her talent, she did not know what he was thinking. For the next month, he had been teaching her underworld skills. Furthermore, he taught her one type of underworld skill a day. It was as if he was teaching her. Furthermore, it was obvious that he had something on his mind these few days. He spent a lot of time in a daze while drinking tea. After another month, Sima Yue had been forced by Mou to learn many underworld skills. Furthermore, he would change to another underworld skill after mastering it. Sima Yue could not help but ask the question in her heart after she finished her practice. You taught me so many underworld skills. Aren't you afraid that I'll forget or mix them up? Mou only replied with 3 words. Do you know how to do it? She really did not know how to do it. Didn't you say that you were only going to teach me the grasping spirit technique? Why are you teaching me so many now? I'm not your disciple. Aren't you being taken advantage of? She took a sip of the tea that he passed to her. When she was more tired, she would drink tea like a cow. What a waste. Mou said. If you think that I'm being taken advantage of, then give me more tea leaves. After I go back this time, I won't be coming back to the human realm for a while. Sima Yue was stunned. You're leaving? I can still drag it on for a while. Mou said. That meant that after a while, he would be leaving. Perhaps it was because they often drank tea together and developed feelings for each other. Perhaps it was because he taught her everything he knew. Or perhaps it was because of the 2 months that they spent together. Hearing that he was leaving, she felt a little reluctant. Reluctant to leave me? Mou's eyes flashed with a smile. This was different from the faint smile on his face when they first met. If you can't bear to leave me, then go to the ghost realm with me. How about it? Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. You wish. Unfortunately, it's not realistic. However, when I go to the ghost realm, I can look for you to catch up. Hee, then I'll be waiting. Mou said as he tapped on her forehead. She immediately felt a cool feeling enter her brain. Although Sima Yue was shocked, she did not panic. She looked at him and said, What did you do to me? Actually, it's nothing much. I just left a strand of divine sense on your body as a mark. When you go to the ghost realm, I'll be able to sense it. Mou said. Sima Yue sensed for a moment. There was indeed a faint shadow in her brain. But this shadow was different from Feng Ruyan and the others. The color was lighter. Perhaps it was because this was not a soul imprint, but a divine sense imprint. I wonder if this thing will run out when it's in danger? Sima Yue muttered. It won't run out, but it will release my aura. Ghost clansmen are especially sensitive to aura. If it can sense my aura, it will naturally not do anything to you. Mou said. So you're saying that before I go, I already have a protective umbrella? Sima Yue smiled. It was so cool to be under a big tree. Sima Yue learned from Mou for 2 months. After she finished learning today, Mou suddenly said that he was leaving. Sima Yue already knew about it, so she was not surprised. But she was still a little reluctant. These books are about the ghost realm. I won't give you the books about dark techniques. If you learn what I taught you, it will be enough for you to sweep through the ghost realm. But you can read more of these books. They will be useful when you go to the ghost realm. Mou said. Sima Yue kept the books and took out a spatial ring. She passed it to him and said, This is the tea I prepared for you. Mo took it and used his divine sense to scan it. The usually calm him was a little dazed. Chapter 1056. Crazy Wife. Fifth Miss of the Divine Doctor. Chapter 1056. Scamming you so much for. The people from the Yinyang Palace and Zhongzheng clan felt their bodies tremble. Then, the old ape that had been running away finally stopped. Please search product #book web to see the most complete. Update the fastest. You despicable humans. Why did you keep chasing me? Why did you go to the bottom? The old ape roared. Don't you know what we want? Chao Lu and the others also stopped and surrounded the old ape. I've already given you human blood. You can ask those people for it. Why are you holding on to me? The old ape said angrily. It condensed spiritual power and shouted at those people. The aura around him became chaotic, and a hurricane surrounded the entire valley. Old ape, you still want to fight us in your current state? Zhongzheng Quan approached the old ape and said, come with us today. Even if you don't want to, you have to leave. You puny humans want to fight with me. Even if I'm injured, you're still no match for me. The old ape shouted. Without saying anything else, he directly attacked those people. The people from the Zhongzheng clan and the Yinyang Palace were not to be trifled with either. Each of them retaliated, and the valley was lit up by the radiance of various spiritual techniques. Outside the valley, the old macaque and Chini stood together. Listening to the sounds of fighting and screams coming from the valley, one could imagine what it was like inside the thick fog. This illusory formation is too powerful. Although the old ape knew how powerful the human's formation was, it was still shocked to see it with its own eyes. Ever since Sima Yue knew that he was injured, she changed her plan of asking him to kill the people from the Yinyang Palace. Instead, she asked him to lure them into the formation and activate the illusion formation so that they could kill each other in the formation. It's indeed shocking, Qinran murmured. I didn't expect her array formation to be so powerful. Even if it was an illusion array, it would have different effects. To be able to cause so many people to have the same illusion, this was not something an ordinary array master could do. As far as they knew, Sima Yue did not know how to use arrays in her previous life. Hence, she only knew about arrays in this life. This talent really made them feel ashamed of their inferiority. After a while, Sima Yue, Wu Lingyu, Qin Mo, and Kong Sengyi arrived. Is everyone inside? Sima Yue asked. Yes, they're all inside. Qin Ran nodded. Sima Yue looked at the dense fog, and hearing the blood-curdling screams coming from inside. The scene of extermination of Shiman clan appeared before her eyes. Wu Lingyu could feel the cold air emanating from her body, and reached out to hold her shoulders. After a while, the voices inside became softer and softer. Many people had been killed, and only a few people were still putting up a desperate struggle. Young master, we're almost out of men. One of Zhongzheng Quan's arms was broken, and the other hand was covering the wound. The other wounds were also bleeding. Why do I feel that our fighting power has decreased by quite a bit? Zhongzheng Songmao looked at the few people left and frowned. Young master, we don't have the energy to care if our fighting power has decreased. He's attacking again. A ray of silver light flew towards him. He just waved his hand and prepared to attack, but the light seemed to have turned a corner and directly cut off his hand. Then, a ball of flame appeared out of nowhere and wrapped him in it. Very quickly, he became a pile of ashes. What's going on? Why do I feel that it's not just old ape attacking? Zhongzheng Hai came to Zhongzheng Songmao's side and asked. Indeed. Zhongzheng Songmao said. Do you feel that something is strange? Seems like it, but I can't put my finger on it. Zhongzheng Hai said. Zhongzheng Songmao looked at the decreasing number of people, and his brows furrowed. He also felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. Zhongzheng Songmao, why are you still standing there? Chao Lu couldn't withstand the attacks, and seeing Zhongzheng Songmao in a daze, he roared at him. Zhongzheng Songmao raised his head and saw that he couldn't withstand it. His eyes flashed, and he stood there without moving. Zhongzheng Songmao, what do you mean? Yinyang Palace's people saw that he didn't move and said coldly. Your young palace master. Aren't you going to save him? Zhongzheng Songmao said coldly. What do you mean by our young palace master? Zhongzheng Songmao, do you want to betray us? Zhongzheng Songmao glanced at him faintly and said, yes, so what? You've got guts. Your Zhongzheng clan really has bad intentions. Young palace master shouldn't have trusted you. Young master Zhongzheng, let's not talk about other things. Quickly save young palace master. We are as close as a family. As close as a family? Zhongzheng Songmao said. You let my Zhongzheng clan rush to the front and make us the scapegoat. Why didn't you say that we are as close as a family? When did you treat us as a family? Zhongzheng Songmao, your Zhongzheng clan better not dig your own grave. Really? Zhongzheng Songmao didn't move, and even his clan members didn't move. You dare to do this? Wait until we go back. We must report this matter to the palace master. Let's see how your Zhongzheng clan can escape by then. Do you think you still have the chance to go back and report? Zhongzheng Songmao sneered. Those people felt the danger. They took a step back and said, what do you want to do? What do we want to do? Do you still need to say it? Zhongzheng Songmao's smile made people's hair stand. In this situation you can't escape. Why don't you join us to deal with Old Ape first? Someone was clearer about the situation. Zhongzheng Songmao didn't speak, but he didn't do anything to Yinyang Palace's people either. Ah! Chaolu was sent flying by Old Ape's palm. He landed heavily on the ground. Young Palace Master. Yinyang Palace's people all flew over. A portion of them went to support Chaolu. Some went to block Old Ape's attack. Ah! A burst of power burst out, blowing those people into pieces. No, this power doesn't belong to Old Ape. The one who attacked us isn't Old Ape. Zhongzheng Songmao shouted. Not Old Ape. Everyone looked at Old Ape. He was the one who launched the attack. How could he say it wasn't Old Ape? Those attacks are your own. Everyone don't move. Those attacks will naturally disappear. Zhongzheng Songmao shouted. Yinyang Palace's people were blown up by the power explosion. If not, they were seriously injured on the ground. Only Zhongzheng clan's people were left standing. Once Zhongzheng Songmao spoke, they all stopped moving. Although Old Ape was still there, it didn't move anymore. It really stopped. That Old Ape is fake. What's going on? Everyone was stunned. Zhongzheng Songmao was the first to react. We entered the array. If I didn't guess wrongly, this is an illusion array. Ha ha ha. Young Master Zhongzheng is indeed smart. Following a laugh, the fog that shrouded the valley gradually dissipated. This book came from // chapter 1056. Scam you don't want it for. Chapter 1057. As the thick fog dispersed, the effect of the illusion array disappeared. The scenery in front of everyone's eyes didn't change, but the Old Ape was gone. Zhongzheng Qingmao looked up and saw a group of people standing on the mountain, and the Old Ape in the middle. However, this Old Ape was different from the one he had seen before. Although it still looked the same, its body was no longer weak from its injuries. That wasn't you just now. Zhongzheng Songmao said coldly. Who are you? Shimin Feng took off the mask on his face, looked at Zhongzheng Songmao and said, we haven't seen each other for 20 years and you don't recognize me? Zhongzheng Songmao saw Shimin Feng, his body shook and said, Shimin Feng? How could it be you? How could you? How could he still be alive? Shimin Feng said, you look really surprised, hee. Aren't the people of Shimin clan already dead? The shock on Zhongzheng Hai's face wasn't any less than Zhongzheng Songmao's. They were personally involved in the incident at that time. They were the ones who killed those people. Even the people who chased after Shimin Yue and Shimin Feng were led by him. He saw him being killed with his own eyes and falling into Heartbreak Valley. How could he not die? Zhongzheng Hai, seeing the expression on your face really makes me happy. Shimin Feng said. Shimin Feng, your Shimin family has already been exterminated. I didn't expect you to still be alive. Zhongzheng Hai shouted. Of course I have to live. Otherwise, how can I take revenge on you? Shimin Feng looked at them hatefully. The grudge from back then. We will settle it with you bit by bit. A brat like you? You're indulging in fantasy. Zhongzheng Hai said disdainfully. Is it really whimsical? Shimin Feng sneered. How do you feel now? How does it feel to kill each other? So it was you guys. Chao Lu stood up with the help of the Yinyang Palace disciples and said, "What did you guys do to us?" "Actually, it's nothing much. It's just to let you experience it for a bit inside the illusion array," Shimin Feng said. "Illusion array? How can you set up such a powerful array?" Zhong Zhenghai exclaimed in surprise. "You don't have to worry about that," Kong Sengyi said. Zhong Zhengsong Mao and the rest shifted their attention to Kong Sengyi and Qinemo. Kong Sengyi, "Qinemo, this is what you have planned from the start. You're taking revenge for the Shimin clan." Chao Lu said, "Are you trying to cause a conflict between the Yinyang Palace and the Qin clan's Kong Valley? In your words, as long as you all stay here, who would know who did this?" Kong Sengyi said, "Don't worry, we will send the auspicious beast blood back to you." Zhong Zhengsong Mao sensed that something was wrong. "What do you mean by this?" "Yes." Kong Sengyi looked at them with a smile. Zhong Zhengsong Mao stared at her for a while and said, "You guys have to send the tampered auspicious beast's blood to our clan, so that they can't enter the immortal land and be happy for nothing." "Good guess. No wonder you're the genius young master of the Zhongzheng clan," Kong Sengyi said. "But you didn't guess it completely. You didn't guess the ending right." Zhong Zhengsong Mao squinted his eyes. His eyes emitted a viper-like gaze. "What do you guys want to do?" Chao Lu asked. "You'll know when the time comes," Shimin Feng said. "Although others say that one should die in peace, I like to see you guys die with grievances." PFFF. Sima Yue laughed. Feng Er's words were exactly what she wanted. She also liked to see them die with grievances. "Humph, with just you guys you want to keep us here, it's simply a fool's dream." Zhong Zhenghai snorted. Although they were seriously injured, if they wanted to escape, as long as they fought with their lives, it wasn't hopeless. "You guys think that if you fight with your lives, you can definitely escape, right?" Shimin Feng spoke out Zhong Zhenghai's thoughts. "You think that you can go out after entering this valley? If we didn't have absolute confidence, would we let you know who we are?" "What did you guys do?" Zhong Zhengsong Mao asked. "There's an array master here. We don't even need to do anything to deal with you guys." Kong Sengyi worshipped Sima Yue. As long as there was enough time, it was a piece of cake for an array master to kill people invisibly. Someone understood what he meant and flew out of the valley, but he was blocked by an invisible wall in mid-air. "Spirit barrier array," Chao Lu shouted. "You're that person from Dark Forest. You're Sima Yue." Zhong Zhengsong Mao looked at Sima Yue and said. Sima Yue smiled. "You're so smart. If it wasn't because of the blood feud between us, I would want to be friends with you." "It's really you. You're actually with Shimin Feng." Zhong Zhengsong Mao was surprised. He didn't expect her to be with Shimin Feng. "Of course we're together. He's my younger brother," Sima Yue said. "We'll kill you guys together today and take revenge for Shimin family." "You're also from Shimin family?" "That's right," Sima Yue said. "We used to be familiar with each other. We even had a meal together, but I don't think you want to know who I am." "Had a meal together? You're..." Before Zhong Zhengsong Mao could finish his sentence, Sima Yue injected spiritual power into the array. The entire space started to shake, blocking his words. Sima Yue knew that he had guessed her identity, seeing the shock on his face. She kept a smile on her face. The killing intent in her eyes grew thicker. "I've changed this array. The dragon trapping array has become a dragon killing array. Today I'll let you guys test the effects of my changes." Following the activation of the killing array, many white rays attacked from all directions. Those who were weaker were split into half by the white rays. Those who were stronger like Zhong Zhengsong Mao and Zhong Zhenghai tried their best to resist for a while. However, the power of the killing array was far more powerful than they imagined. Very quickly, there was no one left standing in the valley. Sima Yue released the array. Everyone flew down and found two people who were still breathing. Zhongzheng family and Yinyang Palace, one on each side. Kong Sengyi and Shimin Feng grabbed one person each and said. Sima Yue took out 2 bottles of prepared blood and handed it to them. "Thank you for your hard work. Don't worry, we'll definitely send them to their doorstep." Kong Sengyi said and grabbed the 2 people with Shimin Feng, opened the space tunnel and left. "So, what do we do next?" Old Ape asked. Chapter 1058. Sima Yue looked outside the mountain range. With a thought, 3 golden snake fruits appeared in front of everyone. This is... The old ape looked at the golden snake fruit, and was so excited that he couldn't speak. Sima Yue smiled at him and said, "This is the golden snake fruit. Now, I'll fulfill my promise and give it to you." The old ape took the golden snake fruit, his hands trembling. He had chased after the golden snake fruit for his entire life, and now his wish had finally been fulfilled. "I only did so little." He couldn't believe it. He originally thought that he would have to do a lot of things before she would give this to him. He didn't expect that she would only let him do so little. Sima Yue rolled her eyes and said, "Keep this first. I'll treat you when we get back." "All right." Old Gibbon suppressed the happiness in his heart and put away the golden snake fruit. He went to pick up Little Ten and the others with Sima Yue. The old ape and Little Huang could transform into human form, but Little Ten could not. If he appeared in the city like this, he would definitely be recognized at a glance. Perhaps there would be hundreds of forces that would immediately capture him. "How about I also transform into a human form?" Little Ten said. "As long as I pass through the lightning tribulation, it'll be fine." "Don't," Little Huang suddenly said. He looked at Little Ten nervously. "You're fine like this. What's wrong?" Sima Yue was confused. Why did Little Huang have such a big reaction? Our lineage originally had very few people. In the past, there were also 3 of us. Later on, one of us didn't make it through the transformation lightning tribulation. The old ape said, "If I can transform into a human, it will save us a lot of trouble in the future. Isn't it just the lightning tribulation? Little Imperial Uncle, you don't have to worry." Little Ten said with a smile. "That won't do either." Little Huang firmly objected. Little Ten turned its pleading gaze to the old macaque. The old macaque shook its head, disapproving of its transformation. "Our bloodline is really too small. If something bad happens, old ancestor, you have to believe me." Little Ten said, "I don't want to become a burden to you." Little Ten, "Ahem, well, since we came from the same continent, I can help you pass through the heavenly tribulation." Sima Yue said. "Help me transcend the tribulation? How could he help? I won't be your contract beast." Little Ten expressed his position first. Sima Yue was speechless. Even if it wanted to follow her, she would not accept it. "What method do you have to help him overcome the tribulation?" the old ape asked. "You'll know when the time comes." One day later, in the depths of the Shisha mountain range, in the sparrowhawk's habitat, the clear sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds. Then, all the sparrowhawks flew to the periphery of their territory, away from the range of the heavenly tribulation. In the valley below the tribulation clouds, Little Ten stood alone in the middle of the valley. He looked up at the tribulation clouds in the sky, and recalled what Sima Yue had just said. "The formation I set up for you can block a portion of the lightning tribulation's power. Although it's not much, it can offset a portion of it every time. Then this is a pill that I refined to quickly recover spiritual energy. It's specially prepared for my spirit beast's tribulation. I'll give it to you today. Then these things are placed here. They are some spirit weapons that my friend refined to resist the lightning tribulation. Use them as you see fit." He held the pill in his hand tightly, and his heart was in a mess. He was worried that she would take advantage of the situation and make him sign a contract with her. Now that he thought about it, his thoughts were really laughable. She had so many good things, why would she take a fancy to him? However, now that he had so many things from her, there would be no problem for him to pass through the tribulation. The cloud spirit sensed that a spirit beast was about to pass through the tribulation, and came over to take a look. The first thing it saw was Sima Yue smiling brightly in the distance. "Hey little fellow, this is my friend. You have to take it easy later." The cloud spirit was on the tribulation clouds, and almost rolled off the clouds. This fellow, why did she always give it problems? Just as it was about to ignore her, she immediately lured it with good wine. "I have a lot of fruit wine here, and it's freshly brewed. It's not bad. Come and get it when you're done." The cloud spirit swallowed hard and put its 2 little feet together. It kept muttering, "Annoying. Annoying. You're tempting me again. I have to resist the temptation. But I really want to drink it. The old ape and little Huang saw Sima Yue talking to the tribulation clouds, and both muttered in their hearts. Would this work? In their hearts, the answer was naturally no. So when they saw the power of the tribulation clouds behind them, they were stunned. Is this really the transformation lightning tribulation? Little Huang muttered. This should be. The old ape wasn't sure, but those lightning bolts were indeed striking little Ten. If it wasn't the transformation lightning tribulation, then what was it? But this power, they really couldn't associate it with the transformation lightning tribulation. If the transformation lightning tribulation was this powerful, that tribesman wouldn't have died. After going through such a powerful lightning tribulation, the transformation lightning tribulation was nothing in Sima Yue's eyes. More accurately, it was nothing in the eyes of the top-grade purple lightning tribulation. But that fellow was very excited when it saw the cloud spirit. It kept tossing and turning in the lightning pool. Sima Yue felt its thoughts and was speechless. She directly rejected it. But she couldn't stand that fellow making a ruckus in the lightning pool. So she could only agree to get some snacks for it. I want to go up and take a look. Sima Yue said. Where to? Wu Lingyu asked. Sima Yue looked at the tribulation clouds. Everyone understood what she meant. Above the tribulation clouds? The old ape and little Huang looked at her in shock. Yes, that fellow in the lightning pool is making a ruckus. Sima Yue said. Go. Wu Lingyu said. He could participate in her matters, but this was the only thing he didn't dare to touch. Sima Yue flew up the tribulation clouds, and sat down beside the cloud spirit. Because it wasn't within the range of the lightning tribulation, Little Ten's lightning tribulation wasn't aggravated. The old ape and little Huang looked at her calmness in shock. Their jaws almost fell to the ground. I'm here to give you something. Sima Yue took out a lot of spirit wine, and put it on the tribulation clouds. The cloud spirit saw the wine and happily pounced on it. Its two eyes shone brightly. It looked like a cat that had stolen a fish. Sima Yue took out some pills to sober up. Then she let the lightning enter her body as food for the top-grade purple lightning. The cloud spirit ate a pill. Then, it took out a jar of wine that it hadn't drunk before. It gulped down half of the jar. How is it? The taste isn't bad, right? Sima Yue asked with a smile. The cloud spirit nodded fiercely. It was delicious. Then, are you going to give me a present? Sima Yue asked. The cloud spirit rolled its eyes. It turned and ran towards the depths of the clouds. Seeing that Sima Yue didn't follow, it turned and waved its little paw at her. Chapter 1059. Sima Yue looked at Cloud Spirit and knew it was asking her to follow it. She frowned when she saw the lightning sparks in the clouds getting stronger. Would she be electrocuted to death if she followed it? Come on. You won't get a gift if you don't come. Cloud Spirit urged when it saw Sima Yue did not move. Are you scared? Sima Yue raised her chin. Look at the electric current. If I touch it, I'm afraid I'll be burnt to a crisp. TSK, that's for ordinary people. Don't worry, the guy in your body can't electrocute you to death even if it goes into the heart of the clouds. Cloud Spirit turned around and continued to walk forward. The guy in the thunder pool saw the sizzling electric current in the depths of the clouds, and was so excited that it kept flipping. Sima Yue saw that the thunder pool was getting bigger and bigger, and had to satisfy the top-grade purple thunder's needs. She said, okay, let's go. As soon as she said that, the top-grade purple thunder immediately quieted down. What an annoying guy. If I'm electrocuted to death, your host will be gone. She muttered and followed Cloud Spirit into the depths of the clouds. Sima Yue always thought that the depths of the clouds should get darker and darker, but in fact the closer she got to the center, the lighter the clouds became and gradually turned white. The Cloud Spirit hopped onto a cloud and turned back to look at her. Sima Yue followed it to the cloud, and found that this cloud was much denser than the others. There was a special feeling when she stepped on it. Here, you can take a bottle of this. Cloud Spirit came to a small pool. Sima Yue went over and saw a basin-sized hole in the clouds. There were some transparent white bodies in the hole. How could there be why bodies in this place? What's this? Sima Yue asked. This is Thunder Spirit Y, Cloud Spirit said. You're giving this to me? What's the use of this thing? Sima Yue looked down at Cloud Spirit. Nothing. Cloud Spirit looked at Thunder Spirit Y as if it was looking at a cup of water. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at it. Why are you giving me such a useless gift? It's useless to me, but to you humans, it's a heavenly treasure. The Cloud Spirit rolled its eyes at him and said, if you eat one drop, it'll be equivalent to 10 years of absorbing the lightning attribute. So powerful. Sima Yue was astonished. She stared at Cloud Spirit with her mouth wide open. Of course, the Cloud Spirit said proudly. This is the essence left behind after each lightning tribulation. Moreover, it has other uses. For example, although this is Thunder Spirit Y, it doesn't have the offensive power of Thunder attribute spiritual energy. So even if an ordinary person takes it, there won't be any problems. It can even transform their body. Cloud Spirit said. So it's useless to me. Sima Yue shrugged. Cloud Spirit rolled its eyes at her narcissistically and continued. Although this has no effect on you, you can still increase your spiritual power after eating it. If you don't like it, I won't give it to you. Don't. Sima Yue grabbed Cloud Spirit. This thing is useless to me, but it'll definitely be useful to the people around me. I have to keep such a good thing. Other than what I just said, there are other uses. Cloud Spirit kicked its 4 short legs. Its cute appearance was comparable to Little Roar's. What other uses? Sima Yue asked. Cloud Spirit broke free from her hand. How would I know? I don't care about you humans. If you want to know, you can find out for yourself. I can't waste such a precious thing on experiments. Sima Yue took out a bottle and collected the Thunder Spirit Y. This thing has been around since ancient times. I'll check the ancient books later. There might be some mention of it. Even if there isn't, it'll be good to transform their bodies. Her body had been transformed by lightning. She knew what it was like after being transformed by lightning, so she wanted to transform the people around her too. In the past, she was afraid that they would be damaged by lightning. Now that she had Thunder Spirit Y, she was naturally not afraid. Cloud Spirit looked at her strangely and asked, aren't you going to keep it for yourself? This is a rare good thing. People can develop on their own when they're alive, but I think it's better to have the company of family. So these good things should be shared with family, Sima Yue said. Your way of thinking is a little different from others. Cloud Spirit could not understand her. Those that I saw kept the good things for themselves and didn't think of others. That's why we have different ways of thinking. She put Thunder Spirit Y into a bottle. There were more than a dozen jade bottles that were the size of a finger. In the future, each bottle would be worth a lot of money. After she finished, she looked at Cloud Spirit and asked, is there any more? There's no more here. There are other clones, Cloud Spirit said. Other clones? Then the next time you see me, send another one. Sima Yue put away Thunder Spirit Y and pinched its ear. Cloud Spirit dodged her hand and said, you already have so much. What's the use of other things? You can never have too many good things. Sima Yue took out a jar of wine, unsealed it, and took a sip. Then, she handed it to Cloud Spirit. Would you think it's too little? Cloud Spirit fell into the wine jar without any hesitation and gulped it down. Sima Yue sat down on the cloud and continued. Besides, this thing is useless to you. Why don't you give it to me? It can be put to good use. At most, I'll get you more fruit wine in the future. You said it. Cloud Spirit stuck its small head out of the wine jar and stared at Sima Yue. Of course I said it. Sima Yue approached it with a smile. Other than this, do you have any other good things? Yes, but you can't get it, Cloud Spirit said. What else? A higher level Thunder Spirit Y. It's further inside. You can't go in yet. Cloud Spirit pointed to the depths of the Calamity Cloud. Didn't you say that the heart of the cloud would be fine? Sima Yue asked. I was exaggerating. You won't be afraid when the thing in your body grows up, Cloud Spirit explained. Sima Yue looked at the depths of the clouds reluctantly. Can't you take it out for me? Take it yourself if you want. I won't take it for you. Cloud Spirit climbed out of the wine jar and said, Okay, I'm done. I'm going back. Get down quickly. Okay. I can't get it now, but you have to keep it for me, Sima Yue said. Other than you, no one is so thick-skinned, Cloud Spirit said, then bounced up and knocked Sima Yue out. Then it left on its own calamity cloud. Sima Yue steadied herself in the air. She touched her butt and smiled. That meant that this guy would keep it for her. Chapter 1060. In fact, the Cloud Spirit had finished striking long ago, but it was talking to Sima Yue, so it left late. Old Ape and Little Huang looked at the tribulation cloud that had not left, and they were worried. Was it finished or not? Little Ten counted the lightning that he had suffered. It should be over, but why was the tribulation cloud still here? Was there a more powerful tribulation that it did not know about? In everyone's worry, they finally saw Sima Yue come out of the tribulation cloud, and then the tribulation cloud patted its butt and left. As soon as the tribulation cloud left, the light of transformation immediately surrounded Little Ten, and Old Ape and the others were relieved. Sima Yue flew back, and Old Ape and the others looked at her, as if they were looking at a monster. Are you okay? Wu Lingyu caught her and asked. She had stayed in the tribulation cloud for a long time, and it was different from before. I'm fine. Sima Yue smiled, turned to look at Little Ten in the valley, and said, I don't know what he will look like after he transforms. Old Ape came over and bowed to her. Sima Yue quickly held him and said, Old Ape, what are you doing? Thank you. If it weren't for you, Little Ten wouldn't have been so successful. Old Ape thanked her sincerely. If you want to thank me, wait until I heal your body, Sima Yue said with a smile. Young master, you've really opened our eyes. We have never seen such a transformation tribulation. A man with a hooked nose came over and looked at Sima Yue in disbelief. If their clansmen could transform under such circumstances, what was there to worry about? Sparrowhawk King. Sima Yue nodded to the Sparrowhawk King. Young master, The Sparrowhawk King looked at Sima Yue and wanted to say something, but he was embarrassed. You want me to help our clansmen transform too, right? Sima Yue asked. Yes. The Sparrowhawk King said. Several of our clansmen are also preparing to transform, including my daughter. But our success rate wasn't high in the past. Many of our clansmen were transforming. That's easy. Sima Yue said. But let me settle this first. Good. Good. The Sparrowhawk King kept nodding, looking very excited. The light that enveloped Little Ten slowly faded, and a neat and tidy young man appeared in front of everyone. Little Ten looked at his hands excitedly, tugged at his clothes, and then flew over to them. Ancestor. Little Ten looked at the old ape like a child waiting for praise. Not bad, not bad. The old ape nodded with a smile. Since you've successfully transformed, let's prepare to treat old ape's injuries. Sima Yue said. Your injuries can't be delayed, it's better to treat them as soon as possible. Yes. Sparrowhawk King, please arrange a quiet place for us. Sima Yue said. In my clan's territory, other spirit beasts won't dare to make trouble, the Sparrowhawk King said. I want absolute silence, no one can disturb me, Sima Yue said. Not even your clansmen. Then let's go to my nest X, the Sparrowhawk King said. Without my order, my clansmen won't dare to go there at will. Okay. Sima Yue nodded. Old Ape will go with me, you guys wait here. Yes. Don't we need to take care of that matter? Little Huang asked. No need. Those people will naturally leave if they can't find you. As for Yinyang Palace and Zhongzheng Clan, Feng, and Xiang, you will deal with them. After that, she and the old ape followed the Sparrowhawk King to his nest X. Because the Sparrowhawk King was relatively large, his nest X was also very large and semi-enclosed. Sima Yue saw the magnificent appearance and was a little surprised. Young master, this is my nest X. You guys stay here, I'll guard outside, the Sparrowhawk King said. Then I'll have to trouble you. Sima Yue nodded to him. Old ape, let's go in. Please. The Sparrowhawk King watched them go in and sighed in his heart that this master had a promising future. Then he meditated under the tree and waited for them to come out. Wu Lingyu also came over. The Sparrowhawk King saw him and didn't get up to stop him. Wu Lingyu stood under the tree and stopped a dozen meters away from the Sparrowhawk King. He looked up at the Sparrowhawk King's nest X. In order to ensure that no one would disturb them, Sima Yue set up a barrier around the nest X. Here he could faintly see Sima Yue's hand and the old ape's upper body. The others also followed, but they didn't dare to get close and could only wait outside the big tree. Wu Lingyu and Qin Mo didn't care, but the waiting days were extremely long for Little Ten and Little Huang. 3 days later, the barrier covering the nest X was opened. Everyone waiting below looked up. The first thing they saw was Sima Yue, who looked a little tired, and then the old ape with a radiant face. Yue. Wu Lingyu flew up and came to Sima Yue. How are you? Nothing, I'm just a little tired. I'll be fine after some rest. Sima Yue's pale face showed a faint smile. I'll take you to rest, Wu Lingyu said. Okay, Sima Yue responded. Old ape, you can think about what I said to you before. If you don't want to, then take them away from the Shisha mountain range as soon as possible. After all, there are so many people outside. It's still very dangerous. I'll think about it, the old ape said. I hope I can see you again when I'm done resting. Senior, let's go, Sima Yue said. Wu Lingyu left with Sima Yue. Only then did Little Ten and Little Huang dare to come up. Just when they saw Sima Yue's pale face, the pressure on her body made them not dare to breathe. Old ancestor, how are you? Little Huang asked. I'm completely healed, the old ape said excitedly. Really? Little Huang grabbed his hand excitedly. This injury had been plaguing him for many years. He had also looked for some alchemists, but there were no results. He didn't expect Sima Yue to really heal him. Old ancestor, what was that thing she said? Little Ten asked. The old ape's gaze darkened. He remembered what Sima Yue said to him before. That was what she said to him after the treatment. She said, the golden snake fruit is the key to your race's evolution. If you follow me, I can provide you with more golden snake fruits. You want me to join your force? He asked. Sima Yue smiled and said, I believe you will make the right choice. After she finished speaking, she left, leaving him with a cool back view. Chapter 1061. Seeing the old ape in a daze, Little Ten and Little Huang looked at each other subconsciously. He had never seen the old ancestor so hesitant before. What was it that made him like this? Ancestor? Little Huang tried to call out. The old macaque glanced at them and said, Come with me, I have something to discuss with you. Little Ten and Little Huang were very curious, but they didn't say anything. They just left with the old ape. They found a quiet cliff. Considering the danger of going outside, they did not leave the land of the Sparrowhawk tribe. Old ancestor, what's troubling you so much? Little Ten asked. The old gibbon turned to look at them and said, Sima Yue wants us to join her force. Her forces? She wants us to be her subordinates? Little Huang was a little unhappy. They were auspicious beasts. How could they become the subordinates of humans? She didn't force me. She just put forward a condition, the old ape said. A condition that I couldn't bear to refuse. What conditions? Little Ten asked. She will provide us with enough golden snake fruits, the old ape said. When Little Huang and Little 11 heard this, they held their breaths and were stunned. Enough golden snake fruit? How much is that? Little Ten asked blankly. From what I see, she should still have quite a few golden snake fruits. The old ape said, when he gave me those 3 golden snake fruits, he didn't even blink his eyes. This means that he has a lot. This is indeed a tempting condition, Little Huang said. But will I lose my freedom because of this? I think so, Little Ten said. I don't think she's the kind of person who treats us like contracted beasts. Besides, she's so powerful, you won't lose out if you follow her. I think so too, the old macaque said. You should have seen it this time. Although her strength isn't very high, her ability is stronger than anyone we have seen before. I think she will reach a whole new level. The most important thing is, what? The old macaque sighed and turned to look outside the cliff. Through this incident, I realized that we're in a very bad situation right now, especially since there are too few of us. It'll be good if there's someone who can take care of us. Little Huang thought about it and felt that it made sense. But between freedom and safety, he was still very hesitant. Sima Yue rested for a day. She did not have much hope for the old gibbon. It would be great if they were willing to follow her, but if they were not, she would not force them. However, when she saw the old ape talking to the Sparrowhawk King, she was a little surprised. "We've made up our minds. If we follow you, we're willing to give it a try," said the old ape. "I hope my decision is right. I don't think you will be disappointed." Sima Yue smiled. "Can you tell me about your forces?" Of course. On the other side, outside the imperial clan government, the guards opened the door to mark the beginning of the day. "Hey, why is there someone outside?" The guard saw the person lying on the ground as soon as he opened the door. "It's the fifth elder." Another guard shouted. "Why is it only the fifth elder? What are you waiting for? Hurry up and help the fifth elder inside. The fifth elder is dead. We still need to help him in. You two hurry up and inform the patriarch." Because of the corpse of the fifth elder, Zhongzheng Quan, the Zhongzheng clan became lively early in the morning. Zhongzheng Qingren was originally cultivating in seclusion. When he heard that Zhongzheng Quan was back, he forced himself out and opened the door. He asked the messenger in the courtyard, "Are the young master and the others back?" "Master, the young master did not come back. Only the fifth elder came back alone," the guard said. "What about the others? Did they bring back the auspicious beast blood? Why? Did the fifth elder call for support?" Zhongzheng Qingren grabbed the guard's clothes and asked excitedly. No. The guard was frightened by his appearance and replied. "No. They didn't bring back the auspicious beast blood. Why? Or didn't call for support?" Zhongzheng Qingren asked again. "Master, the fifth elder brought back the auspicious beast blood. Why?" The guard quickly explained. He was afraid that he would lose his life if he was late. Zhongzheng Qingren heard that the auspicious beast blood was brought back. He breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Call the fifth elder over." "Master, this may not work," the guard said. "Why? When they found the fifth elder, he was already dead. What did you say?" Zhongzheng Qingren glared at the guard and shouted. "It's true. When the guard found the fifth elder, he was already dead." The guard replied. "What about the others? What about the young master?" "No, only the fifth elder's body was in front of the door. He was holding a jade bottle in his hand. Looking at his injury at the time, they should have been attacked before." Song Mao. Zhongzheng Qingren tried to calm himself down and said, "Move the fifth elder's body to the meeting hall, and inform the other elders to come over." "Yes, master." The guard who escaped from Zhongzheng Qingren's hands was very glad that he was not strangled to death. After receiving the order, he hurried to arrange it and left the courtyard as if he was escaping. After the appraisal, Zhongzheng family was sure that Zhongzheng Song Mao and the others were ambushed after getting the auspicious beast blood. But they still did not know who it was. "Send someone to the Xisha mountain range to investigate. We must find out what happened." Zhongzheng Qingren slammed the table and roared. It was a pity that a table made of fine mahogany was smashed by him. More than an hour later, Zhongzheng family's team set off for the Xisha mountain range. At the same time, Huayang Palace also sent a team to the Xisha mountain range to find out which force dared to touch their young palace master and snatch their auspicious beast blood. The two teams arrived at the Xisha mountain range almost at the same time and found the previous valley at the same time. They met in the valley and saw the disabled people everywhere. They were distressed. These were their force's disciples. When they saw Chao Le and Zhongzheng Songmao's bodies, they were completely unsettled. They sent a message to the family while investigating their bodies. They wanted to find out which force's skill killed them. But the final result shocked them. "Great Elder, most of our people's wounds were caused by Huayang Palace's skill." Zhongzheng family's disciple said to Great Elder who was waiting at the side. At the same time, Huayang Palace's people also got a similar result. Most of the wounds on Huayang Palace's people were caused by Zhongzheng family's spirit skill. In that case, it was not that others came to snatch the auspicious beast blood Y, but that they had internal strife after getting the auspicious beast blood Y. Thinking of this, both sides looked at each other with eyes full of hatred. Chapter 1062. Read 336. Not long after, everyone in the Middle region knew that the Zhongzheng clan and the Yinyang Palace had completely fallen out. It seemed that when they were searching for the auspicious beast in the Shisha mountain range, both sides had a conflict, which led to a complete break in their relationship. The people of the southern wasteland weren't surprised by this news, because the Zhongzheng clan's strength had been developing rapidly these years. There had been news that they wanted to leave the Yinyang Palace, and this incident was just a fuse. Only the Zhongzheng clan knew how great of a loss it was to lose a genius young master. Both sides lost their young lord and young palace master at the same time, and almost broke out into a power war. However, because they both obtained a bottle of auspicious beast blood, they put their focus on the impending opening of the fairyland, which avoided a war. However, the relationship between the two sides could no longer be eased. When Sima Yue received this result, she was helping the Sparrowhawk tribe to transform. Hearing the news from Qin Mo, a satisfied smile crept onto Zhang Xian's face. The effect is not bad. It's quite satisfactory. Qin Mo saw her smile and smiled. Since the matter is settled, I'll go back first. Thank you for your help this time. Sima Yue looked at Qin Mo gratefully. When she had asked him for help, he had agreed without hesitation. She took out a jade bottle and said, "This is Little Roar's blood. I know that you haven't found the blood of the auspicious beast. Take this. When we enter the immortal land, we can still find each other based on the same auspicious beast blood." Qin Mo did not stand on ceremony. He took the jade bottle and looked at Little Roar, who was waving his claws and crying in pain. He could not help but laugh. "I won't stand on ceremony then. It's better if we can take care of each other in the immortal land." Qin Mo kept the jade bottle into his spatial ring and nodded at Sima Yue before leaving with Mu Wen and Qin Hong. After they left, Sima Yue turned to Kong Sengyi, who had just returned, and said, "This is for you." "Is this also Little Roar's?" Kong Sengyi asked. "Yes. I let it release a basin today, so it's not happy now." Sima Yue looked at Little Roar. Feeling her gaze, Little Roar snorted and turned around, his butt facing her. Kong Sengyi looked at Little Roar's expression and laughed out loud. She took the jade bottle and said, "Although we have an auspicious beast, it's better to use this if we want to have a connection with you. Then you have to talk to your father. That's easy." Kong Sengyi put away the jade bottle, pulled Shimin Feng to the side and cuddled for a while, then returned with his people. In the valley, sparrowhawks were transforming one after another. The cloud spirit disliked the fact that it had just seen Sima Yue, so it walked away after striking the sparrowhawks, ignoring her. The Sparrowhawk King looked at the situation below and listened to Sima Yue saying goodbye to her friend. Another idea came to his mind. He came to Sima Yue and knelt down. Sima Yue looked at him strangely and asked, "Sparrowhawk King, what are you doing?" "The Sparrowhawk tribe requests to follow young master." The Sparrowhawk King said firmly. "Follow me?" Sima Yue widened her eyes. "Did I hear wrongly?" "Young master, since you can let the ape tribe follow you, please let us follow you too." The Sparrowhawk King said, "We are willing to join your forces." Sima Yue blinked, looked at Shimin Feng, and then looked at the Sparrowhawk King. "Sparrowhawk King, why do you want to follow us?" Sima Yue asked. "First, because you are the king's contractor." The Sparrowhawk King said. "Another reason is that we want to strengthen ourselves. I believe that if we follow young master, our Sparrowhawk tribe will be able to go far, and not just curl up in a small place like Shisha mountain range." "Do your clansmen agree with your decision?" Sima Yue asked. "I believe that after experiencing this, they all have the same idea as me," the Sparrowhawk King said. "Besides, following our king has always been the idea of all the bird tribes." Sima Yue thought for a moment and said, "We have to discuss this matter, and you should also discuss it with your clansmen. If you still have the same idea, we will talk about it again. What do you think?" The Sparrowhawk King knew that Sima Yue had already agreed. He immediately got up and said, "I will go and discuss it with the elders." After that, he turned and left, not even caring about the clansmen below. "Senior brother Feng, or what do you think?" Sima Yue asked. Shimen Feng thought for a moment and said, "If they can join us, it will undoubtedly improve our strength. But with so many sparrowhawks, can our resources support them? This is indeed a problem." Sima Yue said, "With those people from Bloodfiend City, we are already struggling to supply resources. If more people come, I am afraid that we won't be able to supply them. The Sparrowhawk tribe doesn't need much resources." Wu Lingyu said, "For spirit beasts like them, we only need to give them some specific elixirs and places to practice. They don't need anything else." "But Heartbreak Valley is not suitable for them to live in," Sima Yue said. "We can let them stay outside Heartbreak Valley as our foreign aid," Shimen Feng said. "So you agree that they should join us?" Sima Yue asked. "In fact, our current strength is already ranked among the top in the central region, but we have been keeping a low profile, so people don't know about us," Shimen Feng said. "But many of those people are desperados. Although they are bound by an oath, they still have some bandit spirit. If we have the Sparrowhawk tribe, we can intimidate them from the side." Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yue was still a little hesitant and asked, "What are you thinking?" Sima Yue sighed and said, "All along, I didn't want the bird tribe to get involved in our private affairs because I didn't want to cause trouble for Little Rock. Therefore, even if the Four-Winged Rock and the Egret tribe want to follow, they can only silently protect us in the Spirit Pagoda. But once we accept the Sparrowhawk tribe, this balance will be broken." You are wrong." Little Rock's voice came through the contract. Sima Yue called Little Rock out. "Little Rock, what do you think?" Little Rock looked at Sima Yue gently and said, "If they are forced to join your forces because of my pressure, then this is forcing them to get involved in your private affairs. But now they are not doing it because of me, but because you gave them hope and let them know that they can go further by following you. This is why they want to join. Because of you, not me. Besides." Little Rock stopped and Little Seven asked curiously, "Besides what?" Little Rock hesitated for a moment and said, "Besides, following Crimson Flame is a blessing that their ancestors have cultivated for generations. In the future, they will understand what kind of person they are following." This book came from the Book and Book hashtag. Chapter 1063. Sima Yue finally agreed to the Sparrowhawk tribe's request to follow them. Just as Little Peng said, she couldn't force them to participate in her personal vendetta, but she also couldn't deprive them of their right to follow their king. Moreover, the Sparrowhawk tribe obeyed her and Little Peng. It was indeed a deterrent to those who had not settled down in the valley. Now that the Yinyang Palace and the Zhongzheng clan have turned against each other, if we go to the Immortal Land to deal with them, we might expose our sect. Shimen Feng said, "If you want to be exposed, then do it openly in front of everyone." Sima Yue said, "In the past, we kept a low profile because everything was not on the right track. Now that everything is on the right track, their strength is beyond our expectations. We can now appear in front of the world as a mature force. I will let them be mentally prepared," Shimen Feng said. "But there will be a lot of trouble," Sima Yue reminded. "Once the enemies of the disciples in the valley find out about their whereabouts, they might come looking for trouble. As long as they know our strength, there shouldn't be many who want to find trouble with us. We can handle it," Shimen Feng said. "Okay, let me know if there's anything else," Sima Yue said. Later, they agreed on the identity of Sima Yue, saying that she had won a bet against Shimen Feng. So she became his sister, and naturally became the Deputy Lord, which was the Deputy Valley Lord of Heartbreak Valley. Little Seven also got a protector position in Heartbreak Valley. When she found out about her position, she was happy for a long time because this was her first official identity. The final result of the Sparrowhawk tribe's discussion was the same as before. They still wanted to follow her. So the two sides reached an agreement to migrate the Sparrowhawk tribe's habitat to the forest of Heartbreak Valley and become part of Heartbreak Valley. Due to the urgency of time, The Sparrowhawk tribe hurriedly packed everything and followed Sima Yue to Heartbreak Valley. The old macaque and the other two were temporarily arranged to stay in Heartbreak Valley, while the Sparrowhawk tribe chose a habitat in the forest not far away. Fortunately, in the past 2 years, the people of Heartbreak Valley had a good relationship with the surrounding spirit beasts, so it was not too troublesome to allocate a habitat. At the same time, it also informed those people that the Sparrowhawk tribe was a part of Heartbreak Valley. In the past 2 years, the surrounding spirit beasts had watched Heartbreak Valley change from a desolate valley to a place with a sect. They had watched them grow rapidly. They had never seen any force develop as quickly as they did. Now, the addition of the Sparrowhawk tribe made them even more curious about this force. What made Sima Yue even more speechless was that Honor Rock and the others had sent a message to the Four-Winged Rock tribe. After learning that the Sparrowhawk tribe had followed Sima Yue to Heartbreak Valley, the Four-Winged Rock tribe had also moved over, saying that they wanted to follow Sima Yue. Soon after, the Egret King also brought the Egret race over. Suddenly, the entire outer forest was almost unable to accommodate them. However, since they were already here, Little Rock did not ask them to go back. Sima Yue could not intervene, so she had to find a place for them to settle down. Fortunately, they did not have high requirements for other resources except for a lot of things for transformation. Otherwise, she would really feel pressured. After settling down several bird tribes, the day of the opening of the Celestial Land was about to arrive. Bring more people in. This was one of the few things Wu Lingyu said. What's wrong? Is there anything to pay attention to? Sima Yue asked. The Celestial Land is different from ordinary small realms. Its entrance is not only connected to the human world, but also to the Devil Realm and the Ghost Realm. So in addition to the human race and beasts, there will also be the Devil race and the Ghost race. Wu Lingyu explained. Sima Yue thought of the Blood Willow Tree. She remembered that Wu Lamai had said that he had seen it in a celestial land, but he did not know how it had entered the human world. Just in case, we do have to bring more people in. She said, but if we bring too many people, I'm afraid it will attract attention prematurely. Then put them in the Spirit Pagoda, Little Seven said. That won't do, Sima Yue said. Other than the people from before, the Spirit Pagoda should not be known to more people. The more people knew, the greater the potential danger. It was better not to let those who were not particularly trustworthy know. Then put them in the Little Realm, Little Seven suggested again. The Celestial Land is a special space. The Little Realm cannot be opened inside. Sima Yue shook her head. Others can't, but yours can, Wu Lingyu said. Mine can? Why? Because your little realm was refined and transformed by the Azure Great Emperor. It is not an ordinary space. Wu Lingyu said. This is the only little realm in the world that is not restricted by space. How do you know? I knew it in the past, Wu Lingyu said. She never doubted Wu Lingyu's words. Since he said it was possible, then it was possible. Then I'll put people in the little realm, Sima Yue said. The Celestial Land is so big. Even if there are many people inside, it won't be too obvious. Then you have to confirm the number of people in advance, Wu Lingyu said. Even in the Celestial Land, you have to smear the blood of the auspicious beast. Otherwise, you will be attacked by the natives inside. That's not a problem. Little Roar's strength had not recovered much, but he still had a lot of blood. After transforming into his original form, his body was even bigger and could accommodate many people. Little Roar, who was in a fit of pique with Sima Yue, suddenly trembled. He felt a chill run down his spine. Damn, who's having bad ideas about me again? He took a bite of the barbecued meat in his hand. Don't let me know. Otherwise you'll get it. Actually, he also knew who was having bad ideas about him. However, he could not directly protest because he knew that protesting would be useless. He could only pray that Yue would make more delicious food for him after releasing his blood. This time, the entrance to the Celestial Land was in a flaming mountain in western Liang. Everyone had to go there early and occupy a favorable position. Sima Yue had always been curious about how the humans knew where the entrance was due to the irregular appearance of space. Wu Lingyu told her that it was calculated by the divinator, and then announced. Hearing this answer, she was a little surprised. She always thought that the divinator was just a con man from her previous life, and was not presentable at all. However, according to Wu Lingyu's meaning, that guy's position in the mainland was not low. However, because the divinator was in the inner regions, she had never seen him before. After coming to Western Liang, she knew that she was ridiculously wrong, because the divinator was not a person at all. Chapter 1064. When Wu Lingyu pointed at a group of people in white, and said that they were diviners, Sima Yue was so surprised that her mouth opened slightly. Divinator is a sect. It's not really a sect, but it does have a master. Wu Lingyu saw Sima Yue's shocked expression and said, "What did you think it was?" "I always thought it was a person who could sense the heavenly axiom." Sima Yue pursed her lips. "So, all of this can be predicted? Actually, you're not wrong. If you want to be a divinator, you must have a certain level of talent. They can sense things in this world that we can't and make deductions." Wu Lingyu explained. "Are there so many talented people in the world?" Sima Yue asked. "This world is so big, but there aren't many people with this kind of talent. Even if they could deduce who those people were and find them, there would be very few people left in this sect. Furthermore." "And what?" Sima Yue asked. "Their talent was bestowed upon them by the heavenly Tao. If they want to use this talent, they have to pay a price." Wu Lingyu looked at the people in white with a faint look of sympathy. "What price?" Sima Yue asked curiously. "Their cultivation can only reach the divine level. Their lifespan can't exceed 500 years, and they can't have offspring." Sima Yue was stunned. "Such a heavy price? Then, are these people destined from the moment they were born?" "No. They have a choice." Wu Lingyu said. "I heard that before they became diviners, they were no different from normal people. It seemed to be about how to activate this talent. After activating it, their fates would be changed. I'm not too sure about the specifics. Normally, these people lived very secretive lives and didn't have much contact with others. If anyone wanted to find them, they could only go to their sects to find them. Those people could only wait outside the divinator's door and couldn't enter. Once they received the news, they had to leave and couldn't linger around. So outsiders knew very little about the divinators. However, because they could predict major events in the future, and could predict the time and place of the immortal lands and little realms, they had a very high status in the mainland. Even the people in the inner regions didn't dare to do anything to them. If there were really people who wanted to find trouble with them, they would predict it in advance. When those people arrived, they would leave an opening, or they would be killed by many powerhouses. Sima Yue listened to Wu Lingyu slowly explain these things to him, and became more and more curious about the divinators. However, seeing that they were resting with their eyes closed, she didn't disturb them. "When will they arrive?" Feng said that they have already rushed over. "If we go out now, we can come back with them," Sima Yue said. She and Wu Lingyu came here first to check out the situation while Shimin Feng and Bai Sheng gathered the people behind them and waited for everyone to arrive before they came again. "Then let's leave." The two of them quietly left the gathering point and went outside to meet with Shimin Feng and the rest. Tens of thousands of powerhouses were gathered in the blazing mountain range. With millions of people gathered together, their movements weren't obvious. But when a flock of birds carrying a few hundred people flew over, the scene attracted many people's attention. Who are those people? I've never seen anyone from this powerhouse before. Which powerhouse is this? I don't know. Maybe it's a newly developed powerhouse. Look at their flying beasts. They don't look like something a new powerhouse would have. Someone reminded. Those were all high-grade sacred beast mounts. Ordinary powerhouses wouldn't be able to take them out. Look at those people. They aren't weak. They don't look like a new powerhouse. Someone noticed that those people only had the strength of a high-grade god ranked. Most of them were monarch ranked and above. There were even some high-grade monarch ranked people. With this strength, they should be one of the top in the middle regions. Why haven't I seen them before? A large powerhouse was developed from a small powerhouse. If they wanted to develop, they would have to move around the continent. For a powerhouse like this, it was impossible that they hadn't heard of any news. Look, isn't that Sima Yue from Sky Heaven School? Someone recognized Sima Yue on the first flying beast and exclaimed, "It's really her. Why is she with them? She's on the first flying beast. Don't tell me that's the powerhouse she formed? How is that possible?" Someone immediately denied. Although she's powerful, but she's still a little baby. How could she have formed a powerhouse? But there are so many flying beasts. Other than her, who else can do it? That's true. I still feel that it's impossible. For a moment, everyone said they were right. Everyone believed in their own views. But no matter what they thought, they were all interested in this powerhouse. Look at that person. Isn't that Fui? Someone pointed at one of them and exclaimed, "Fui? Didn't he escape to Bloodfiend City?" Someone beside asked. Ever since Bloodfiend City was razed to the ground, Fui had disappeared. I didn't expect him to join this powerhouse. Humph, when I see him today, I must punish him on the spot. Bloodfiend City. Someone recited the name of Bloodfiend City, and suddenly his eyes lit up. Do you guys remember what happened in Bloodfiend City for a few days? You're talking about the lightning tribulation that struck for a long time. That's right. What did you think of? Bloodfiend City was struck by lightning tribulation for such a long time. But when we arrived, it had become an empty city. Didn't you guys think of anything? Don't keep us in suspense. Quickly tell us, what did you think of? Someone urged. Some time ago, I heard a rumor. The Dark Forest incident was done by this Sima Yue. The most unforgettable thing about that incident was that the lightning had struck most of the people to death. Oh, I understand what you mean. You're saying that the Bloodfiend City incident was also done by Sima Yue? But what did she do to attract such a huge lightning tribulation? Don't tell me those people in the city were all struck to death? Are you dumb? Even if they were struck by lightning, there would be remains left behind. When we went there, did we see anyone who was struck to death by lightning? Then what do you mean? I'm saying that Sima Yue was the one who brought everyone away. As for what happened in Bloodfiend City, perhaps we can ask her. Forget it. If we offend her because of this, then we'll regret it forever. When Sima Yue and the others flew over, they were greeted with many pairs of curious eyes and endless discussions. There were also a few gazes filled with hatred. Chapter 1065. Fui, hand over your life. Just as Sima Yue and the rest approached the flaming mountains, someone immediately jumped out. With a shout, a wave of spiritual energy shot towards them. Yu, let me do it. Little Seven waved her hand, and the spiritual energy was easily dissolved by her. Standing behind Sima Yue was a man. When he saw who it was, his expression changed instantly. Who are you? Little Seven asked the person who attacked her after dissolving the attack. We are from the Fu family of East Ridge. We don't want to be your enemy, so you better hand over Fui. A man from the Fu family took a step forward. He should be someone from the Fu family who had some authority. Fu family of Dongling? Sima Yue looked at them. Fui, come out. When Fui heard Sima Yue's words, he leaped to their side. He stared at the Fu family and said, Valley Lord, Deputy Valley Lord, this is between Fui and them. I will settle it. After saying that, he prepared to confront the Fu family. Stop right there. Sima Yue stopped him. If it was someone else who spoke, Fui probably wouldn't have bothered. But after the incident in Bloodfiend City, they had formed a strict prohibition against Sima Yue. When Sima Yue saw that he did not rush out, she looked at the Fu family and said, This? Fu-sun, the leader of the Fu clan. The man said, Fu-sun, I want to know what enmity do you have with Fui? You must be from the same family, right? Sima Yue asked with a smile. Fui violated the family rules and has long been expelled from the family. How can he still be considered a member of the Fu family? Fu-sun said, Are you all planning to protect him? What kind of power are you? This last question was on everyone's mind, So when he asked, everyone turned to look at Sima Yue. I am Sima Yue, the Vice Valley Lord of Heartbreak Valley. This is our Valley Lord. Sima Yue introduced herself, then introduced Shimin Feng. Then, she cupped her hands towards everyone present and said, Hello everyone, we are the newly established force, Heartbreak Valley. Please take care of us in the future. Shimin Feng said to the people present. If you want us to take care of you, hand over our enemy first. Fusen coldly snorted. That's impossible. Shimin Feng shook his head and said, Fu Yi is a disciple of Heartbreak Valley. He did not betray us. We will not let him face danger alone. So you're not going to let him go? Fu Sen's face became even more gloomy. Looking at Shimin Feng and others, he was calculating in his heart how much certainty he would have if he were to face them head-on. Don't be angry, Sima Yue said. We can sit down and talk. Only if you hand over Fu Yi will there be a need for us to talk. Fu Sen did not back down. It seems like young Master Fu is unwilling to talk to us, Sima Yue said. It's you who is not sincere. Fu Sen was not an impulsive and reckless person, but when it came to Fu Yi, his attitude was very firm. When they joined Heartbreak Valley, I said that I would not let them face their former enemy alone. Sima Yue said. Since I said this before, I will not go back on my words today. So Heartbreak Valley can't do your request. So you're saying that you want to be enemies with Fu Clan? Fu Sun asked with a dark face. Sima Yue shook her head and said, Heartbreak Valley has just been established not long ago. Naturally, we don't want to be enemies with everyone. But since we're a sect, we naturally have our bottom line. Protecting our sect's disciples is our bottom line. Even if they will bring disaster to your sect? Someone on the side asked. Although we're a small sect, it's not that easy to exterminate a clan. Sima Yue said confidently. What an arrogant tone. A girl said with contempt and praise. Just based on your newly established sect, you dare to say such arrogant words. A Fu Clan disciple said sarcastically. Although our sect is small, I think that if something really happens, there will be more people who will come to help us, Sima Yue said. When she said that, everyone then remembered her identity. The King of the Rocks was a contractor, the champion of the alchemy competition, the honorary elder of the Alchemist Guild, and the Pill subdivision. At the same time, she was also the junior Valley Master of Divine Devil Valley, a student of Heavenly Sect. Not only that, those who knew her also knew her identity as an Array Master, Seeker Spirit Master and Beast Tamer. So if something really happened to her, those forces would definitely not stand by and watch. If she appealed, there would be many people who would work for her. Moreover, other than this, when she was attacked by Little Tu's clansmen in the dark forest, Feng Ruyan's strength made people guess that there was some force behind her supporting her. Junior Valley Master, although I heard the news, but I am still surprised to see that you have established a force. A Divine Devil Valley disciple walked over and greeted Sima Yue excitedly. Before this, Sima Yue told Liang Wuming about Heartbreak Valley. When they found out that she had already established a force for 2 years, the entire Divine Devil Valley was surprised. But they were still very supportive of Sima Yue. You little brat, you actually established a sect and didn't tell us. If we knew earlier, we could have celebrated on the day of the establishment of the sect. Mao San Quan brought some teachers from Heavenly Sect over, and pretended to be angry as he stared at her. Sima Yue knew that they were indirectly telling others that if something really happened, they would stand on her side. Instructor Mao, after we come out from the Wonderland, I will definitely invite you to Heartbreak Valley. She smiled. What about us? The Divine Devil Valley people asked. Of course we will go together, Sima Yue said. The Fu family saw that Sima Yue and the others were still reminiscing about the old days, and their anger grew. Heartbreak Valley people, hand over Fu Yi. Otherwise, don't blame us for making you our enemy. Someone behind Fu Sen shouted. Do you really think that we are afraid of you? Little Seven rolled up her sleeves and stared at the Fu family, ready to attack anytime. Sima Yue saw that the Fu family wasn't anxious at all. Are you sure you want to attack us here? Outside the Wonderland? Who dares to attack the Violet Water Dragon clan's 10th prince? A voice came from the sky and a space tunnel opened. Wu Lamai brought the Violet Water Dragon clan people out and stared angrily at the people who were present. Everyone saw the Violet Water Dragon clan people coming out and immediately surrounding Sima Yue, and were quite surprised. They all knew about the Violet Water Dragon clan in the 9th Star Ocean, but they had never heard of the Violet Water Dragon clan having a 10th prince. Sima Yue saw Wu Lamai and Shui Qingman, and flew up to welcome them. She held Shui Qingman's hand and said, "Godfather, Godmother, I thought that you wouldn't come this time." Chapter 1066. Foster Father and Foster Mother? Everyone was even more shocked when they saw how intimate Shui Qingman and Sima Yue were. The Violet Water Dragon tribe had always been arrogant. Since when did they get so close to humans? Wu Lamai glared at Fu Sun and said, "Are you bullying my child? Who dares to bully our 10th brother?" Wu La snorted coldly and looked at those people with hostility. "If you want to bully our 10th brother, you'll have to ask for our permission first." Wu Lali glared at Fu Sun, his eyes cold. The Fu family members were stunned by this sudden scene. How many people were behind Sima Yue? More importantly, they were not here to fight with others, but for the immortal realm. If they really fought, with so many people, they would not be able to gain any advantage. However, the words had already been spoken. If they were to back down now, how would they face the entire continent? Everyone in the Fu family realized this problem, and their faces did not look good. Fortunately, Sima Yue did not want to be enemies with them. Seeing how protective her adoptive parents were of her, she smiled and said, "Adoptive father, adoptive mother, it's fine. It's just that we had some differences in opinion just now. We didn't really want to fight." "Really?" Wu Lamai turned to look at her. "Really?" Sima Yue nodded affirmatively. As the saying goes, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Am I right, young Master Fu? Fu Sun looked at Sima Yue and his heart was in turmoil. It was just a new force, but it was an existence that they could not afford to offend. However, the other party didn't force him. Instead, he gave him a way out. The Vice Valley Lord is right. Although Fu Yi and we had some disagreements before, since you said so, we will not pursue it today, Fu Sun said. If he didn't pursue the matter today, he naturally wouldn't come knocking on his door again in the future. Sima Yue smiled. "Thank you for your understanding, young Master Fu." "You're welcome." Fu Sun cupped his hands at Sima Yue and left with his family. Sima Yue looked at everyone and said, "I think everyone already knows about what happened in Bloodfiend City. Today, my Heartbreak Valley will make a statement. More than half of the people in Bloodfiend City have already joined my Heartbreak Valley, and are a part of our valley. I know that they have a lot of hatred with you, but I still say the same thing. Heartbreak Valley will not give up on a disciple. If they have any hatred with you, I hope we can resolve it. If you really can't resolve it, Heartbreak Valley is always waiting for you." Her words revealed a few meanings, and everyone caught them. First, she said that many people in Heartbreak Valley were from Bloodfiend City. In view of the past, many people would have some conflicts, but Heartbreak Valley would not give up a person, so there was no need to talk about handing over someone. Secondly, there are so many people in Bloodfiend City and most of them are in Heartbreak Valley. You all know how many people there were in Bloodfiend City in the past, and how strong they were. So you should know how many people there are in Heartbreak Valley. If there aren't tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, don't come looking for trouble. Third, if you want to deal with us, then come to Heartbreak Valley. If you can enter Heartbreak Valley, then come to us. The fourth meaning was that she didn't say it out, but everyone understood that the forces behind her were not ordinary people. If you think you can offend them, then come. Of course, you can also go and gather forces to help, but if you think you can fight against the number of the entire bird clan, they won't mind. But what was the most common clan in this world? Wasn't it the bird clan? Even if there was a difference between the eagle clan, phoenix, egret and so on, they were still bird clans after all. But the spirit beast clans on land were different. Even tigers and elephants would not be the same clan. So if you want to compete with the bird clan, no one can win. Thinking of this, Some people who wanted to find trouble with Heartbreak Valley hesitated. Even if they really formed a camp and went to Heartbreak Valley, could this camp be as strong as the Bird Clan? Besides, could they really enter Heartbreak Valley? Don't forget, this Heartbreak Valley was one of the 3 poisonous places. Very few people could enter. Looking at all the factors, they found that this force that suddenly appeared turned out to be an existence that couldn't be provoked. Fortunately, this Valley Lord and Deputy Valley Lord lowered their posture, and also showed that they were willing to be on good terms with them. Instead of becoming enemies with such a force because of one person, it was better to bury the hatchet and be on good terms with them. Sima Yue was very satisfied with the effect created by Heartbreak Valley. She didn't want all the forces to be like this, but as long as it was a small part, they could deal with it. On the top of the mountain in the distance, a silver-haired man looked at Sima Yue. Seeing her high-spirited face, he whispered softly, "Is this that woman?" "Master, what are you talking about?" A 10-year-old child heard his words and looked up at him. "Xiaoxi, I've told you many times, I'm not your master now." The silver-haired man touched Xiaoxi's head. "I said, wait until you're 20 years old before making a decision." "Master, Xiaoxi wants to be a fortune teller. Even if I'm 20 years old, Xiaoxi will still make this choice." Xiaoxi's little face was full of determination. He wanted to become a fortune teller, so that he could calculate who killed his parents. This idea had never changed since his master Yinlin found him. Yinlin saw the pain in his eyes and knew why he was like this. But fortune tellers had an unsurpassable restriction. That was, they couldn't calculate things about people who hadn't become fortune tellers yet. Yinlin could calculate when and where he would meet Xiaoxi, but he couldn't calculate what happened to him, because this might affect their choice. Becoming a fortune teller had glory and sacrifice, so this path had to be chosen by them. Others couldn't interfere. "If you're still like this when you're 20 years old, I'll open your heaven's eye for you." "Thank you, master." Xiaoxi smiled, but that smile didn't have the innocence of an ordinary child. "Let's go, let's get to know that person." Yinlin slowly walked down the mountain. "Master, we've never taken the initiative to get to know someone before, why this time?" Xiaoxi didn't understand. "Because she will be a person who will stir up the winds and clouds of heaven and earth." Sima Yue was talking to Shui Qing Man and the others. Wu Lingyu came to her side and said, "Yinlin is here." "Who's Yinlin?" "The master of fortune tellers." Sima Yue followed Wu Lingyu's gaze, and saw a silver-haired man with unfocused eyes walking over. His eyes? When fortune tellers reach a certain realm, they will become blind. But they all have heaven's eye, so it won't affect their vision. Wu Lingyu explained. Chapter 1067. Everyone's expression changed when they saw Yinlin coming over. Those who were chatting stopped and bowed respectfully. "Lord Yinlin." A faint smile hung on the corner of Yinlin's mouth. He didn't respond to them, but they didn't feel that he was arrogant. Instead, they felt a sense of familiarity. He walked in front of Sima Yue and said, "I am Yinlin. May I speak to young Master Sima alone?" Sima Yue was stunned. Wasn't he being too direct? She glanced at Wu Lingyu. Seeing him nod slightly, she smiled and said, "Sir Yinlin, please." Vice Valley Lord. Now that the Immortal Land could open at any time, what if she couldn't make it in time? "Don't worry, the entrance to the Immortal Land won't open so early." Yinlin understood that person's thoughts and said softly, "Young Master Sima, please." Master Yinlin wanted to talk to Sima Yue alone, which shocked the people outside. As the youngest divinator sect master, Lord Yinlin could be said to be the most powerful divinator in the past 10,000 years. He had never come into contact with anyone alone, let alone take the initiative to look for that person. All of a sudden, their view of Sima Yue changed again and again. A person that even Sir Yinlin took the initiative to invite. Then this person Sima Yue and Yinlin came to the mouth of a volcano nearby. The people on the mountain automatically came to the foot of the mountain to give them a private environment. Yinlin casually waved his hand and set up a barrier around them to prevent others from hearing their conversation. When Sima Yue saw this, she was slightly surprised and said, "Why is Yinlin looking for me?" Yin Lin gave her a similar feeling to Xian Qiuhe. They were both elegant men, so when she spoke to him, she subconsciously lowered her voice. I have something to say to you. Yin Lin could feel Sima Yue's kindness. He smiled and said, Miss Yue, let me apologize to you first. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. She knew her identity. She immediately felt relieved. He even knew the entrance to the immortal realm, so it wasn't surprising that he knew her identity as a woman. Why are you apologizing to me? She asked. Because of something I said. You had no choice but to disguise yourself as a man for so many years. Yin Lin said apologetically. So that prophecy was said by Lord Yin Lin. Sima Yue was stunned for a moment before she reacted. Only they would be able to say something like that. Only they would be able to make the people of the Sage Pavilion kill all female spirit masters who had more than 4 attributes at all costs. I owed him a favor in the past. Yin Lin said, as if he was explaining. Sima Yue saw his goodwill in her eyes. Although she didn't understand why he was like this, she still accepted his goodwill for such an amiable boss of the divinator. You didn't let me down in this matter. Sima Yue said. Although I had no choice but to disguise as a man, the pressure forced me to work harder to grow. Moreover, you didn't know me before. Or rather, when you said that prophecy, I wasn't even born yet. Yin Lin didn't expect Sima Yue to be so understanding. If it was a normal person who saw someone who had to disguise herself as a man for so many years, they wouldn't be so calm. What you said is both right and wrong. Yin Lin said. As Sima Yue, you weren't born at that time. But to Yue Shimen, you had already lived for many years. Sima Yue looked at Yin Lin with vigilance. He knew her identity. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Yin Lin saw her change and said. Sima Yue calmed herself down and smiled. Thank you. Do you think that Shimen Yue and Sima Yue are related? Yin Lin asked. I don't think so. Sima Yue couldn't think of any connection. You are her, she is you. Yin Lin said. You are the same person. We are the same person? Sima Yue was a little surprised. I saw her soul at that time. She was complete and independent, and she dissipated in the end. It wasn't like Wu Lingyu who was incomplete before she fused with him. Yin Lin shook his head. Your soul is different from the people in this world. When you came to this world, you split into 2. One part of you became Shimen Yue with your memories, and the other part became Sima Yue without any memories. The dissipation you saw was just it returning to your main body. Sima Yue was dumbfounded. It was actually like that. Yin Lin saw her surprise and said, Otherwise, why do you think you could survive in her body? I always thought that it was because I was reborn. Sima Yue said blankly. No, your rebirth has nothing to do with this. Yin Lin said. You belong to this world. The previous world was just a mistake, so everything returned to normal. If we belong to the same soul, why is there such a big difference in age? Sima Yue asked, confused. You became Shimen Yue the moment you came. She drifted in the world for a while before she became Sima Yue. Yin Lin said. But because both of you are one and have a mutual attraction relationship, that's why you entered her body after you died, and both of your souls truly merged into one. So, I am indeed Sima Yue, and her parents are also my parents. Sima Yue said blankly. Then the problem I was struggling with before is no longer a problem. Thank you, Master Yin Lin. After knowing this, her troubled heart suddenly became clear. She was still their child, and when she faced them in the future, she didn't need to feel guilty. You're welcome. Yue has a question. Sima Yue kept her excitement and calmed herself down. Please ask. Why are you telling me this? Sima Yue asked. Because you have doubts in your eyes, and I just happen to know about it. Yin Lin saw that she kept staring at him, and didn't really believe his words. He could only be honest and said, I'm looking for you because I have something to ask of you. This is just a small gift from me to you. You have something to ask of me? Yue is just a lowly person. Compared to those people that Master Yin Lin knows, you are far inferior. Why do you want to ask me for help? Sima Yue asked. Because this is something that only you can do. Can you promise me? Yinlin still had a smile on his face, but his gaze became serious. Only she could do it? Sima Yue felt pressured. She felt that the thing he was talking about wasn't a small matter, and it wasn't something that could be easily done. Can I know what it is first? Chapter 1068. Title: Zhang Yinlin's Request. Author Sima Yue looked at Yinlin's handsome face and felt that he would say something bad. As expected, when Yinlin finished speaking, she felt that the pressure wasn't normal. He said, "After you reach the immortal realm, if you meet someone from the Ghost clan, you must obtain the 100 Ghost banner. Why? That thing is only safe in your hands. Moreover, it will be even more useful in the future." Yinlin said. Sima Yue wanted to ask why it was safe in her hands, and what use it would have in the future. However, seeing that Yinlin didn't intend to explain, she tactfully didn't ask and changed her question. Why do I have to do this? There are many people who are stronger than me. I already said that this thing is only safe in your hands. If someone else were to do it, wouldn't it end up in someone else's hands? Yinlin said. Sima Yue's intuition told her that this was not the reason. Yinlin saw through her thoughts. He only smiled and did not give any other explanation. The 100 Ghost streamer could not be snatched away. Only she could get it. The people at the foot of the mountain looked at the two people talking. They had never seen Yinlin talk to anyone for so long. For those people who went to do the divination, being able to see his face and get a word from him was already considered a great honor. When some of the inner circle forces who had arrived saw this, they were surprised and asked what had happened. When they found out what had happened, they were all shocked, especially when they knew that they had been alone on the mountain for half an hour. They felt that it was impossible. However, under the watchful eyes of everyone, this happened. This made those forces in the inner region take her seriously, and also took Heartbreak Valley's force seriously. Is that Sima Yue? A man in front of Sima Luyan looked at Sima Yue. Ever since the alchemy competition, they knew about Sima Yue and investigated her background. They couldn't help but sigh when they thought about how such a talented junior wasn't from their own clan. If only such a junior was from my Sima family. Sima Luyan heard their sighs, his eyes flashed, his thin lips pursed, but he didn't say anything. I wonder how they will react when they find out the truth. Sima Yue didn't know what changes her conversation with Yinlin had brought to her. Some of the hidden dangers had been resolved by him. When they came down, the way everyone looked at Sima Yue had changed. Master. Xiaoxi went up to Yinlin's side. Yinlin rubbed Xiaoxi's head and said to Sima Yue, "If Xiaoxi becomes a divinator in the future, please take care of him. He will help you in return." Xiaoxi understood Yinlin's meaning and bowed towards Sima Yue saying, "Please take care of me, young Master Sima." Sima Yue was shocked by their actions and hurriedly said, "Master Yinlin, you're exaggerating." Shuiqing Man smiled, with a childlike playfulness. "I haven't been to the immortal land when it opened in the past. This time I have to go in and take a look." Air. Sima Yue didn't expect her to think this way. No wonder her brothers didn't persuade her. But this immortal land might open for a few years. Do you want to give birth in there? She wanted to try harder. It's good to give birth in the immortal land. It'll be different from his brothers. Shuiqing Man said. All right, since foster mother has said so, then let's go. Sima Yue said. But it's best that we stay together when we go in. I'm afraid that you'll give birth in advance. All right. An object emitting a golden light let out a clear cry in the air, causing everyone to become excited. The immortal land is opening. If too many people are together, it will scatter your opportunity. Therefore, it is best for you to leave the group. They won't encounter any major calamity this time. Sima Yue saw that Yinlin was standing there without any intention of going in, so she asked, Aren't you going in? The wind blew over and blew Yinlin's silver hair, making him look even more celestial. The opportunities inside don't belong to us. Even if we go in, it would be a wasted trip. We have already received blessings from the heavens. We can't be greedy, Lin said. However, if it's possible, I would like to ask you to bring something out for me. What do you want to bring? A bottle of water. A bottle of water? What water? The clearest water you've ever seen. Sima Yue frowned. Isn't there a standard? What if the water I bring out isn't what you want? That will depend on you. If you can bring out the water that I want, I will tell you a piece of information in return, Lin said. What information? It's about your father. Sima Yue's body trembled as she looked at Lin in shock. You know where my father is? Young Master Sima, if you want to get the information, you have to pay the price first. Lin said, when you come back, you will know whether you can get the information or not. Sima Yue's heart was hooked. However, she also understood that if Lin didn't want to say it now, it wouldn't work no matter how she forced him. Lin was still smiling faintly. Seeing that most of the people from Heartbreak Valley had entered, he said, You should go in quickly too. I will wait for you when you come out. Sima Yue understood that it was useless to say more. She cupped her hands towards Lin and flew towards the crater with Wu Lingyu. This crater would erupt from time to time. In the past, when they stood at the crater and looked down, they would see red magma. However, looking down now, there was a layer of faint ripples on top of the magma. After those people flew down, they disappeared when they touched the ripples. After the people from Heartbreak Valley, Divine Devil Valley, Heavenly Sect and Violet Water Dragon Clan had all flown in, Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu were the last to fly in. From then on, all the people from the four powers had entered the Immortal Land. When the people from the other powers saw that Sima Yue and the rest had entered so quickly, they were filled with envy and jealousy. Why weren't they invited by Lin? He was too good to Sima Yue. However, they could only grumble in their hearts. After all, no one had the guts to ask Lin to let them in. Sima Yue flew down from the crater. When she touched the ripples, she felt that her body was sucked in by a strong force and was then squeezed by the space. However, that pressure only lasted for a few breaths of time. Following that, she felt that she was surrounded by a warm energy. She turned her head and looked at Wu Lingyu. She smiled gratefully. Wu Lingyu looked at her sparkling eyes and smiled. He was in a good mood. They flew through the barrier for more than half an hour. Finally, the pressure on their bodies disappeared completely. They fell out of the ripples in the space. My small waist fell. A stocky man sat up from the ground with one hand on his waist. PFFF. The person at the side was about to get up. When he said that, he lost his cultivation and fell down again. Sima Yue landed successfully with the help of Wu Lingyu. Hearing that, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Mother, mother. Mother, what happened to you? Wu Lalu and his brother exclaimed. Her attention was immediately attracted. Qingman, what happened to you? Yue, come and take a look at your mother. Wu Lamai exclaimed in a panic. Sima Yue and Shui Qingman were further away. When they heard Wu Lalu and his brother's exclamation, they immediately teleported over. Shui Qingman was lying on the ground. Her head was lowered, and she was holding her stomach. She looked like she was in pain. Then she seemed to be in discomfort. She let out a long cry and transformed into her original form. Sima Yue hurried over to take a look at her. She said, Oh no, mother is being pressured by the space. She's going to give birth now. This book came from Chapter 1070. Read 336. Knowing that she was about to give birth, Wu Lamai and the others weren't that worried. After all, they had their previous experience, so it wouldn't be too dangerous. Because it happened so suddenly, they were scared out of their wits. However, the stone in their hearts had been completely lifted. Sima Yu's following words made their hearts hang. My foster mother's condition is more serious than I expected. She is being squeezed by space, and there are signs of dystocia. What? What should we do? Wu Laxiu cried out. Shui Qingman let out a painful groan. Sima Yue looked around anxiously. They were in the middle of a desert, and there was no water source. Wu Lamai and the rest also knew that Shui Qingman gave birth best in the water. They sensed the surroundings and indeed did not discover any water source. No, I can't wait any longer. Sima Yue looked at everyone present and took out a small door. She opened it and brought Shui Qingman and the rest in. Everyone present followed her in. For a moment, there was no one left in the desert. Not long after they left, a large group of people flew over on flying beasts. I clearly felt that there was someone here earlier. Why is it gone? Looking at the empty desert, they were puzzled. Since there's nothing here, let's go to the next place. The purpose of this trip is not only to obtain fortuitous opportunities, but also to remember our mission. Don't worry, this time we will definitely turn this continent upside down. It's just a pity for our brothers. In order to let more people in, they diluted the blood of the auspicious beasts. Therefore, some people did not meet the requirements. When they flew into the crater, they did not enter the ripples. Instead, they fell into the magma and were melted by the magma. Only those with high strength and quick reflexes managed to survive by putting up a protective barrier the moment they fell into the lava. Let's go to the next location. The leader ordered, and the flying beast took them to the next location. In front of him was a smooth piece of jade. There was a golden dot and many red dots on it. The dots above were moving slowly. In the little realm, the people who came in for the first time were all stunned. Seeing hundreds of thousands of people living inside, they were so shocked that they couldn't make a sound. Especially when they knew that these people were the desperados of Bloodfiend City. The expression on their faces kept changing. It was no wonder that Sima Yue dared to be so tough in front of so many forces. If she really went out, with her backup, who would dare to offend her? However, what they didn't know was that these people didn't belong to Sima Yue. They had an agreement that unless it was a matter of life and death, they wouldn't make a move. In return, Sima Yue provided them with such a stable life. The reason why Sima Yue brought those people in was because she did not know what they would think if she suddenly disappeared. Instead of being discovered and having to explain later, it was better to bring them in together. After she came in, she didn't bother about those people. Instead, she brought Shui Qingman to the lake that was prepared for her. Once she touched the water, Shui Qingman felt much better. However, she was still in pain. It was much more difficult than giving birth to any other child. Wu Lamai and his 9 sons stood by the lake. Seeing Shui Qingman groaning in pain in the water, they were all worried. However, they couldn't do anything. They could only place their hopes on Sima Yue. Sima Yue took out a few elixirs for Shui Qingman to eat. These were the elixirs that she refined for Shui Qingman. She didn't expect to use them so soon. After eating the elixirs, she transferred some spiritual energy to Shui Qingman's abdomen. After finding the fetus, she wrapped it up. That dragon egg was originally a little anxious. It kept bumping around in Shui Qingman's abdomen. After being wrapped by Sima Yue's spiritual energy, it quietened down and Shui Qingman felt much better. Plus, the elixirs started to take effect. She felt that she had regained a lot of energy. Foster mother, do you feel better? Sima Yue came out of the water and asked Shui Qingman. Shui Qingman nodded. She did feel much better now. I just realized that your body was blocked. That's why you had a difficult birth. I'll use my spiritual energy to help you clear it later. Cooperate with my spiritual energy and use all your strength. When I tell you to use all your strength, use all your strength. Do you understand? Okay. Roar. Sima Yue dived into the water again. Luckily, she ate the water-repellent pearl that Wu Lamai gave her. Breathing underwater wasn't a problem. If not, she didn't know what would happen. 2 hours later, Sima Yue finally came out of the water with a tired face. However, the smile on her face made everyone feel relieved. Foster mother has given birth. Both mother and child are safe. Hearing this, the people on the shore were completely relieved. Following that, an egg with purple and gold patterns floated up from the bottom of the water. It was very different from the purple dragon egg in the past. Wu Lamai couldn't take it anymore, and jumped into the water to accompany Shui Qingman. He didn't even notice the dragon egg that came out of the water. The brothers on the shore couldn't stay calm. They looked at the purple and gold egg and frowned. Why does this dragon egg look like this? We weren't like this in the past. That's right. We were all purple. Why is it like this? Wu Laxiu asked curiously. What kind of dragon has a gold color? Wu Lamai asked. Wu Lamai, who was accompanying Shui Qingman, trembled. He turned around and looked at the egg that was jumping up and down in the water. When he saw the golden patterns on it, he was so shocked that he couldn't speak. However, his face was filled with excitement. Wu Lamai saw Wu Lamai's reaction and asked, Father, do you know what's going on with 11? Everyone looked at Wu Lamai and waited for his answer. Azure Dragon of the East, White Tiger of the West, Vermilion Bird of the South, Black Tortoise of the North. Wu Lamai mumbled. When he said that, everyone's expression changed. Father, you're saying that little 11 is the Azure Dragon? Wu Laxiu swallowed his saliva and finally said that sentence. Sima Yue looked at little 11. This guy was the Azure Dragon? The Azure Dragon was green. Wasn't little 11 golden? The Azure Dragon isn't green. Wu Lamai said. Sima Yue then realized that she had said the last sentence. The Azure Dragon isn't green? Then why is it called the Azure Dragon? Sima Yue asked. The Divine Dragon is from the East. Green is the attribute of the East. Actually, the Divine Dragon is golden in color. That's why it's called the Golden Dragon and the Azure Dragon. Wu Lamai explained. Then little 11 is really the Divine Dragon? Wu Lamai asked. The eggshell is still purple. I think it's the mutation of the bloodline that activated the Divine Dragon bloodline in our bodies. He can't be considered a Divine Dragon yet, but his bloodline is much higher than ours. When the bloodline is truly awakened, we can once again have Lord Divine Dragon. The more Wu Lamai spoke, the more excited he became. His gaze towards little 11 was filled with infinite hope. This book came from the website. Chapter 1071. The Future Master Dragon God. Not only the Violet Water Dragon tribe, but everyone in the small realm was excited. The Dragon God was the same as the White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise. They had always existed in legends. The world's understanding of them only existed in ancient books. Now that the Lord Dragon God had appeared, one could imagine the reaction it would cause. Sima Yue recalled that in her previous life, she had seen on the internet that the green dragon was green in color. Since the world was different, perhaps there would be some changes. Little 11 jumped in the water for a while and flew into Shui Qingman's arms. Shui Qingman turned into her human form after giving birth. She had used up a lot of energy just now. Now she was weak and laid in Wu Lamai's arms. Little 11's egg was more than a meter tall. When it got close to Shui Qingman, it suddenly emitted a purplish golden light. When the light dissipated, the egg shrunk to about 30 to 40 centimeters long. Little 11 didn't know how to speak yet, but everyone could feel that it was deeply attached to Shui Qingman. What a good child. Shui Qingman caressed little 11 lovingly. No matter if you're good or bad, a divine dragon or an ordinary dragon, you're still my child. Oh. Little 11 let out a cheerful cry, but because he was still too young, he couldn't control his pressure. The pressure of his bloodline directly pressed down on the Violet Water Dragon clan members present, making them breathless. What a powerful pressure. Ugh. Shui Qingman's body was weaker. She spat out a mouthful of blood from this sudden attack. Godmother. Sima Yue shouted and swam towards her. Qingman. Wu Lamai saw Shui Qingman vomiting blood and in a panic he threw little 11 out. Sima Yue swam over and little 11 landed in her arms. Woo woo. Little 11 also saw that his mother was hurt by him. He cried in Sima Yue's arms. Sima Yue patted little 11's head and continued swimming with him. Red flame suddenly appeared in front of everyone and stared at the egg in Sima Yue's hand. Give it to me. Sima Yue did not expect Qiyan to come out. Although he looked the same as usual, she knew that he was suppressing his emotions. Qiyan, why did you come out? Sima Yue handed 11 over to him and asked. But Crimson Flame ignored her, holding little 11 and staring at it. Sima Yue saw that he was ignoring her and remembered that Shui Qing Man was injured just now. She knew that he wouldn't hurt little 11, so she walked around him and went to Shui Qing Man's side. The moment Crimson Flame came out, everyone felt a strong aura coming from him, and they were all guessing who he was. Godmother, let me take a look at you. Sima Yue came to Shui Qing Man's side and stretched out her hand to check her pulse, but her hand was grabbed by Shui Qing Man instead. Yue, who is that? Will he hurt little 11? Shui Qing Man saw Qi Yin staring at little 11 coldly, and thought of that terrifying aura. She was extremely worried. Sima Yue patted her hand and comforted her. Mother, don't worry. He is my natal contracted beast. I won't hurt 11. Your bonded beast. Wu Lamai cried out in surprise. The person that even he was afraid of was actually her contracted beast? Sima Yue nodded and said, it was a coincidence. Mother, let me take a look at you first. Shui Qing Man nodded helplessly, but her gaze never left Crimson Flame. Although she got Sima Yue's guarantee, she was still worried. But they might not be able to defeat him, so they could only watch him carry little 11. When Sima Yue was checking Shui Qing Man, she suddenly heard a painful cry, followed by Shui Qing Man's anxious voice. Little 11. Don't hurt little 11. Although Wu Lamai threw little 11 out, he still loved his child dearly. So when he heard little 11's painful cry, he immediately let go of Shui Qing Man and attacked Crimson Flame. Wu Lamai's strength had already surpassed Monarch rank and entered Monarch rank. Although he didn't use all his strength because of Sima Yue, but that attack still needed to be blocked properly. But Crimson Flame didn't move at all, as if he didn't see the attack coming. He still used both his hands to grab little 11 who was trying to break free, and used the bloody golden light to cover it. Let it go. Wu Lamai roared at Crimson Flame. His hands didn't stop moving. Father! Sima Yue let go of Shui Qing Man and flew over, pulling Wu Lamai. Yue, isn't he your contracted beast? Ask him to stop. Wu Lamai roared at Sima Yue. Father, don't worry, Crimson Flame didn't hurt little 11. Sima Yue explained. Can't you see that little 11 is in pain? Wu Lamai said. Father, believe me, Crimson Flame is helping little 11. He won't hurt it. Sima Yue said confidently. Wu Lamai looked at Sima Yue's eyes and confirmed that she wasn't lying. He suppressed his anxiety and didn't continue to attack. Actually, one of the reasons was that his attacks were useless against Crimson Flame. It would be a waste of energy if he continued. Shui Qing Man flew over from the water and stood between the two of them. Wu Lamai quickly supported her. Yue, what is he doing to little 11? Sima Yue shook her head. She didn't know what Crimson Flame was doing, but she knew that Crimson Flame didn't have any bad intentions. Ong! Ong! Cries of pain could be heard continuously. Wu Lamai and the rest were worried. If it wasn't for their trust in Sima Yue, they would have already taken action. Sima Yue looked at Crimson Flame. She didn't know what he was doing, but through their contract, she knew that he didn't have any bad intentions towards little 11. She was even more curious about him when she thought about how he was out of character and how he, who was usually uninterested in anything, was actually so interested in little 11. After a while, Crimson Flame stopped the flames in his hands. Then he threw little 11 into Sima Yue's arms. I'll help you once for the sake of your ancestors. It's up to you whether you succeed or not. After that, he flashed back into the spirit pagoda. Sima Yue held little 11. Her curiosity was piqued by Crimson Flame's last words. For the sake of her ancestors, did that mean that he knew the ancestors of the Violet Water Dragon clan? Or was it that their master dragon god and Crimson Flame were friends? If that was the case, then Crimson Flame's identity. Little 11's eggshell has changed. When the flames that enveloped little 11's body slowly dissipated, Wu Laxiu was the first to notice the difference. Sima Yue looked down and noticed that the patterns on little 11's eggshell had changed a lot. In the past, it was mostly purple, but now it was mostly gold, as if the primary and secondary patterns had changed. Needless to say, its bloodline had been activated. Was he activating little 11's bloodline just now? Wu Lalu frowned. Chapter 1072. Read 336. It should be. Wu Lamai felt that little 11's pressure was stronger than before. This should be due to Qi Yan. To actually be able to stimulate the divine dragon bloodline in little 11's body, just what was the identity of this crimson flame? However, Sima Yue was also surprised. She probably didn't know Red Flame's identity either. Could he be? Wu Lamai was shocked by his guess. His gaze towards Sima Yue became even more unsettled. Little 11, how are you? Shui Qingman hugged little 11 and caressed it gently. Maybe it was because little 11 had used up too much energy just now and was a little tired now. He didn't move at all in Shui Qingman's arms. You just gave birth and you're injured. Give it to me. Wu Lamai returned to Shui Qingman's side and wanted to carry little 11. Little 11 moved in Wu Lamai's hand and flew into Sima Yue's arms. It rubbed against her chest and quieted down. Wu Lamai's face instantly darkened. This little fellow was looking down on him. Shui Qingman laughed and pulled Wu Lamai's hand and said, Little 11 is angry at you for throwing him out just now. This guy, he's closer to you than to me, his father. When he comes out, I'll definitely spank his butt, Wu Lamai said with a dark face. EU. Let's see if you're willing to do so when the time comes. Shui Qingman understood her husband's character. He had a sharp tongue but a soft heart. Although he was very strict with the children, but in his heart, he still couldn't bear to hit them. Humph, let's see if I dare. Wu Lamai snorted coldly. I'll take you to rest first. There's nothing else here. Godfather, wait a moment. Sima Yue swam over and hugged little 11 with one hand. She took out a bottle of pills with the other and said, Mother was injured just now. Take 2 of these. Wu Lamai took the jade bottle and poured out 2 pills for Shui Qingman to eat. He then brought her to the bottom of the lake to rest. Wu La Lu and the rest flew over and surrounded Sima Yue and little 11 excitedly. If we have a divine dragon brother in the future, how awesome would that be? Wu Laoxiu reached out to poke little 11, but he felt a jolt of electricity and his finger hurt slightly. Ah! You little brat, you actually dared to electrocute your brother. He waved his hand and shouted. Electricity? When did we have the lightning attribute? Wu Lali asked. Only then did they realize that little 11 had used electricity to attack Wu Laoxiu. The Violet Water Dragon race was a special race because their attributes were mixed. They could have any attribute, but those were the basic 5 elements. They only had the ice attribute. They didn't have any lightning, wind, or light attributes. How could little 11 have an electric attribute now? Little 11 could feel his brother's surprise. He rubbed his head against Sima Yue's chest. He was very attached to her, and also very proud. 10th brother, don't you have the lightning attribute? Don't tell me it was you who gave it to him? Ural said. Sima Yue thought about it and said, that's possible. Didn't I use my spiritual energy to nourish him? I have all kinds of attributes. He might have absorbed the lightning attribute. Then does he have any other attributes? Wu Laoxiu asked curiously. Little 11, what else can you do? Do you want to show off? Little 11 arrogantly ignored him. Little 11, I'm your big sister Little 7. If you become a divine dragon in the future, you have to call me big sister too. Little 7 reached out to poke little 11 and giggled. They thought that little 11 would electrocute little 7, but not only did little 11 not electrocute her, he even rubbed his head against her fingers. It can't be? The difference is so big. I'm your biological brother. Wu Laoxiu cried out. Kissing Sima Yue was one thing, but now even little 7 was treated better than him. This was too much of a blow to him. Sima Yue laughed and explained. When I was nourishing little 11, I used a lot of little 7's essence. He's very familiar with little 7's aura, so he's closer to her. So there's such a benefit. Little 7 laughed. Back then, she was still in pain. Now it seemed that the pain back then was worth it in exchange for the love of the divine dragon in the future. Wu Laoxiu was unhappy. He wanted to poke little 11, but stopped when he was 1 centimeter away from him, afraid that he would electrocute him again. Before he could retract his hand, little 11 had already rubbed against his fingers. Little 11 didn't electrocute him this time. He took Little 11 from Sima Yoyue's arms. This little guy really didn't electrocute him. What an arrogant fellow. Little 11 released his spiritual energy. Everyone knew what he was thinking at that moment. Wuxia was stunned. Little 11 flew out of his arms and returned to Sima Yoyue's arms. I'm tired. Little 11 thought. If you're tired, then rest. Sima Yue took out a wooden basin and filled it with water. She poured a few drops of soul fluid into it, then placed Little 11 inside. With the soul fluid's nourishment, Little 11 felt extremely comfortable. Because he was too tired from activating his blood, now that he had a comfortable environment, he didn't move anymore. Sima Yue placed the basin on the surface of the water and let him float freely. Then she stood up and said to the people beside her, "Let's go out." She opened the door to the little realm. The group of people went out and returned to the barren desert. Once Sima Yue went out, she immediately received news from the scarlet bees. When she heard what they reported, she frowned slightly. "What's wrong, Yu? Little 7 held her hand and asked. After we left, someone came. Sima Yue said. So many people came here. It's not strange that someone landed nearby. Han Miaoshuang said. It's not strange that someone was with us. But it's different if they came here specially. Sima Yue said. Mao Sanquan sharply understood the meaning behind her words and asked, "Who are they?" "I don't know." Sima Yue said. "They have a lot of people and are very strong. If an ordinary person met them, they would probably be killed." "Killed? Those people are here to kill?" Little 7 asked. That's what the bees heard. Sima Yue answered. "Who exactly are they?" "They actually didn't look for opportunities in the immortal land, but went around killing people?" Wu Lali said. "I think it should be people from the inner regions. They have been very restless recently." When Sima Yue said this, everyone thought of what happened in Cloud Sea City. Those people better not meet us. Otherwise they will definitely go for wool and come home shorn. They want to kill us, but we will kill them all. Little 7 rolled up her sleeves. When she saw Sima Yue staring at her, she rolled her sleeves down again. Since those people have left, we don't have to think about this anymore. The most important thing now is to look for opportunities. Mao Sanquan said. This book came from the Book in Book #web. Chapter 1073. Read 336. This was the first time the people here had entered this place, so Sima Yue wasn't sure what this immortal land was like, so she didn't rush to leave. She would follow them for a while and understand the general situation before leaving. Yue, there are so many people here. Even if we find something, it won't be enough to share. We'll leave first, Mao Sanquan said to Sima Yue, treating her as the leader of Heartbreak Valley. Sima Yue understood this and said, Then be careful. Take this with you. She handed him a box. What is this? Mao Sanquan took the box and asked. A new teleportation array. Sima Yue said, If you encounter anything that needs help, activate the teleportation portal, and we will rush over. The transmission array is not for us to escape? Mao Sanquan opened the box and saw 2 very ordinary array stones inside. Ordinary teleportation arrays have limitations. They can't be used when space is sealed. This array stone is used to activate my teleportation array so that I can go to your side. Sima Yue said. If it's just an ordinary array, the school has so many of them. Why would you need me to give them to you? You're full of ideas. Mao Sanquan chuckled as he put away the items. I know that Dewei and the others have also come here. You have to be careful. Sima Yue nodded. If the 100 changing doors people were to come in, she would have to be more careful. However, you have so many people inside. You don't have to be afraid of their numbers. Mao Sanquan said. You just have to be careful of their array formations. I know. You guys have to be careful too, Sima Yue said. We'll follow junior brother. Han Miaoshuang said. Mao Sanquan looked at Su Xiaoxiao and nodded, indicating that he would follow Sima Yue. Miaoshuang, you have to be careful of the Han family. If anything happens to you, Old Su will come after me. Mao San Quan agreed to their request. I got it, Han Miao Shuang said. It's good that you know. Mao San Quan brought the people from the academy and left. The people from Divine Devil Valley also had to leave separately. Sima Yue also gave a box to Ing Baichuan. If there's any danger, you must contact me, Sima Yue said. I will. Ing Baichuan put the items away. As the leader of this expedition, he would not joke about the lives of the valley disciples. Wu Lali walked over and said, Royal Father, Royal Mother and Little 11, please take care of them. You're leaving too? Royal Father and Royal Mother are at ease with you here. Since everyone has entered, we naturally have to search for our own opportunities. Wu Lali said. Luckily, I prepared a lot of these. Sima Yue took out the same box and passed it to Wu Lali. Wu Lali put away the box and left with the Violet Water Dragon tribe. For a moment, only the people from Heartbreak Valley were left. Fui knelt down in front of Sima Yue and Shimen Feng and said, Valley Lord, Vice Valley Lord, Fui is a person of Heartbreak Valley in life and a ghost of Heartbreak Valley in death. If it wasn't for Sima Yue's firm attitude and determined not to hand them over, he would definitely have died today. Although Sima Yue had promised before that she would not hand them over to their enemies, they were still a little worried. Coming out with them this time, everyone was still nervous. They were afraid that if they met their enemies, Heartbreak Valley would hand them over. Fuyi's incident made them see clearly that Heartbreak Valley would not give up on any of them. A strong sense of belonging arose spontaneously. Heartbreak Valley would be their home in the future. Get up. Shimen Feng went forward and helped him up. Just like what we said to others, you are all disciples of Heartbreak Valley. We will not give up on you. Heartbreak Valley will be our home in the future. The other disciples said loudly. That's right. Heartbreak Valley will be our home in the future. The others echoed. Good. We will be a family in the future. Shimen Feng was also moved by their emotions. It was rare for him to say such emotional words. Sima Yue looked at their excited faces and smiled faintly. This scene was exactly what she wanted to see. A force could only develop better when it was united. Han Miao Shuang dragged Sima Yue to the side and said, What did you do to these people? We didn't do anything. What's wrong? Sima Yue didn't understand. These are all people from Bloodfiend City. Speaking of the people from Bloodfiend City, everyone is somewhat fearful. How did you subdue them? Han Miao Shuang asked. Sima Yue smiled and said, Carrot and stick. What carrot and stick? Han Miao Shuang never heard of it. You use my carrot? Little Seven heard Sima Yue mention carrot and ran over. No, the carrot I'm talking about isn't your carrot, Sima Yue said. Then what is it? Han Miao Shuang asked. Carrot means to give them benefits, Sima Yue explained. As for stick, it means to use force to suppress them. Although we didn't confront them directly, but what happened in Bloodfiend City gave them quite a shock. Plus my identity and so on, they were naturally afraid. Carrot and stick, although it's easy to say, it's not easy to do it, Su Xiaoxiao said. That's right. Speaking of which, it's better to be strong. Han Miao Shuang agreed. Shimen Feng calmed everyone down and then came to Sima Yue and said, It's about time for us to leave this place. It's time for us to do our things. The follow-up is the highlight, Sima Yue said. What things? Han Miao Shuang stared at Sima Yue. Did you do something without us? You were in the sect. Our things were more urgent, Sima Yue said. Then what did you do? Sima Yue told them about the Western Mountain Range trapping Zhongzheng clan and Yinyang Palace. After she finished, Han Miao Shuang grabbed her hand excitedly and said, Xiao Xiao, I've decided. Before Master comes back, we'll follow this guy. We didn't notice and we did something so fun. Follow us if you want to, Su Xiaoxiao said. You still want to? Han Miao Shuang pulled her hand out and said, All right, follow us if you want to. Then let's go and see how those guys are doing. Han Miao Shuang thought about what Sima Yue did and her eyes lit up. Let me see where they are first. Sima Yue took out a piece of rice paper after she finished speaking. She inserted spiritual energy, and threw it into the air. Immediately, many red dots appeared. If those black-robed men saw it, they would realize that this rice paper had the same function as the jade plate in front of their boss. This book came from the Book and Book #web. Chapter 1074. Can you tell where they are? Han Miaoshuang came over and asked. Sima Yue looked at the dots on the screen and said, "They're not here." "Without them? Aren't there a lot of red dots here?" Little Seven said. "They should be blue. The red ones aren't them," Sima Yue said. "It's probably because it's too far away, so it can't be displayed," Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue sighed. With a wave of her hand, she kept the paper and said, "Then we can only look for them now and see if we can find any opportunities." "Then which direction should we go? If they go in the opposite direction, wouldn't we be further away from them?" Sima Yue did not know which direction to go, so she turned to look at Wu Lingyu. "Old ape?" Wu Lingyu looked at the old ape. The old macaque closed its eyes and sensed for a while, then pointed in a direction and said, "There's a weak reaction over there." The people from the Zhongzheng clan and Yinyang Palace used the old ape's blood, so he had a certain level of sensing ability towards them. "Then let's go in that direction," Sima Yue said to Shimen Feng. Shimen Feng nodded and instructed the people of Heartbreak Valley, "Go in that direction." The Sparrowhawk tribe, the Four-Winged Rocks, and the Egret tribe served as everyone's flying beasts this time. Normally, they would not agree to let humans sit on their backs, but now that they were from the same sect, it was a different story. They flew towards the southeast. Even though the rocks could travel hundreds of thousands of miles in a day, after flying for a few days, they still did not see a single person. This immortal realm is so big. I haven't seen anyone for so long. Little Seven sat cross-legged beside Sima Yue and supported her chin with her hands. Sima Yue looked at the red dot on the rice paper and said, "We're very far away from them. Maybe it's because we didn't come from the same crater as them." Everyone else squeezed into those teleportation arrays. They came down from the Yinlin volcano, so they were a little further away from the others. "I think so." At that time, there was a large blank area around the place where we were, unlike other places where the red dots were concentrated, Shimen Feng said. "In this kind of place, there is no lack of killing. We are far away from the crowd, which gives us some buffer time," Bai Xing said. "I'm afraid those who are closer have already started fighting." Feng Kai sighed in agreement. For a normal small realm, the number of people who come out is less than half of the people who go in. Not to mention this kind of immortal realm that has the devil realm and ghost realm together. Feng Ji said, "I'm afraid that many people will die this time." Sima Yue thought about the massacre in the little realm previously. She had also brought people to exterminate the Sage Pavilion and White Cloud D's people. Seeing Shimen Feng's eyebrows, she thought of how cold he usually looked. She wanted to tease him and said, "I don't know how Xiang Yi and the others are doing. If they meet their enemies, I don't know if they can survive." Sai Bi said that there was a group of people who came in to kill people. "They are so strong, I don't know if we met them." Hearing her say this, Shimen Feng frowned even more. "Please don't let anything happen to her." You're so bad." Little Seven giggled. Shimen Feng then looked over and saw the teasing in Sima Yue's eyes. Only then did he know that she said it on purpose to make him worry. "Sister." Shimen Feng glared at her. How could she tease him at this time? Sima Yue poked Little Seven's head. It was all because of this little girl who betrayed her. Shimen Feng was still looking at her sadly. She waved her hand and said, "All right, your Xiangyi is safe now." "How do you know?" "Don't forget, she has Little Roar's blood in her hands. The old ape can sense his blood, so can Little Roar." Sima Yue said, "He didn't say anything happened to anyone. That means Big Brother Qin and Xiangyi are fine. Oh, at least they're still alive." Shimen Feng's gaze became even more sorrowful. Since she knew that they were fine, she purposely said those things to make him anxious. Was this really his own sister? Since when did she become like this? Sima Yue saw that his gaze became even more sorrowful. She reached out her hand to take off his mask and pinched his face, saying, "A grown man can't be kept at home. Didn't I just tease you a little? Why are you blaming your sister? Shimin Feng reached out and grabbed her hand, saying, You've become bad. How have I become bad? You've become old-fashioned. Sima Yue did not admit it. However, she could not bear to see him so worried. She patted Little Roar's head and said, Try to sense where they are. Oh. Little Roar closed his eyes and sensed for a while, saying, One of them is in the direction we're heading. Can you sense who it is? Shimin Feng asked. No, it could be Qin Mo or Xiang Yi. Little Roar said. What about the other one? Sima Yue asked. It's also in the general direction, but it's a little far away. Little Roar said. Since the general direction is the same, it's fine. Sima Yue said. I'm just afraid that one of them is in the east and the other is in the west. That would be troublesome. Yes, as long as it's in the same direction we'll meet. Han Miaoshuang said. Moreover, Kong Valley is not an ordinary power. Not many people dare to provoke them. I'm just afraid that we'll meet people from the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm. They won't care about the power of the outside world. Bai Sheng said. That's true. Han Miaoshuang said. Even if the people from the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm kill people here, they won't be afraid of revenge from the outside world. Then the people from the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm wouldn't come here to kill people, right? Anione guessed. How is that possible? Feng Kai used the fan in his hand to knock his head, saying, This is the Immortal Land. There are also opportunities for the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm. If they're here to kill people, then there's no point in coming here. Since this is the Immortal Land, how can there be opportunities for the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm? A long time ago, the entire world wasn't separated into humans, devils, and ghosts. Everyone lived in the same world. The things left behind by the ancestors were naturally mixed together. Bai Sheng said, It's just that the heavenly Tao changed later on, so did the world. The human realm and devil realm went against each other, and separated into different living areas. This immortal land was also left behind at that time? Hongwu asked. That's right. Bai Sheng nodded. The immortal land was an independent space in the past. But this kind of space is usually independent for a certain reason. I don't know what the reason is. This isn't something that we can find out the answer to. We just have to grab hold of the opportunity and improve ourselves here. As for the others, there are people fighting in front. Sima Yue suddenly changed the topic, giving everyone a shock. Chapter 1075. Everyone released their divine sense to explore, but they didn't discover any humans or spirit beasts. Why don't we see anyone fighting? Little Seven released her divine sense, but she didn't sense anything. That's right, who's fighting with whom? Who has the upper hand? Is someone stealing the treasure? I don't see anyone either. Sima Yue was speechless. Why were they so excited when others were fighting? Yu, where's the fighting? Why don't I see it? Little Seven pulled Sima Yue's hand and asked. I didn't sense it, it's the news from the bees. Sima Yue said. Oh, you should have said so earlier. Everyone retracted their divine sense. If they had said that the bees heard it, they wouldn't have wasted their efforts. Why are they fighting? Bai Sheng asked. In this kind of place, the reason for fighting was usually because of treasures. Where there was fighting, it usually meant that there were treasures. So those people who won wouldn't stay behind, because the people nearby could come and snatch the treasures anytime. If they met someone who just went through a battle, wouldn't it be the same as giving away the treasures? I'm not sure. The bees were affected by the battle after sending the first message and died. Sima Yue said. Should we go and take a look? Shimin Feng asked. Go, of course we should go. If there are treasures, we don't mind being fishermen. Sima Yue smiled. Fishermen. When the crane and the clam fight, the fisherman benefits. Haha, let's go, we'll be fishermen. When they reached the battlefield, the battle had already ended. There was a pile of corpses on the ground. The victorious party was nowhere to be seen. We're too late. Bai Sheng said. These corpses are no longer warm. This means that the battle has already ended for a long time. It's a little strange. Sima Yue flew down from Chongming and landed beside the corpses. The moment she moved, Wu Lingyu also stood up. Little Seven flew over and looked at the corpses. She didn't find anything amiss and asked, "What's strange?" Sima Yue looked at a few corpses and said, "Didn't you notice? These people's wounds are all the same, no matter the depth or shape, and all of them were killed in one hit. What does this mean? What does it mean?" Everyone else had a look of understanding, only Little Seven didn't understand. "It means they were killed in one hit's attack," Sima Yue said. "We should also be killed in that attack. Do you mean is it?" Feng Kai swallowed his saliva. SSSSSS hands. S. T. St test T. St T. Shimen Feng said. "If we know which forces came in, we can probably guess which force is here." Sima Yue shook her head. "It's not a force, it's a person." "A person?" When we sent back the news, it said that a person and a force were fighting. Sima Yue said. "So this isn't a fight between two forces, it's a person who got rid of a force. A paragon who came in alone? He should have reached his limit. He's trying to break through at the last moment. If he's able to advance, he'll be able to extend his life." Baixing guessed. "Luckily we didn't meet him." Little Seven shrunk her neck. Sima Yue looked at her and laughed. "There are times when you're scared too? This isn't fear, this is self-awareness." Little Seven said. "I don't have the ability to get rid of so many people at once. Of course, if I evolve one more time, it'll be a piece of cake for me." "You can evolve again?" Han Miaoshuang asked. "Of course. I've only evolved a few times. As long as I have the conditions, I can evolve a few more times. Every time I evolve, my strength will increase by leaps and bounds." Little Seven said proudly. "How long have you evolved? And you're already thinking about the next evolution." Sima Yue didn't want her to be too eager for quick success and neglect her inner growth, which would affect her Tao heart in the future. You don't worry, I'll be fine," Little Seven said. "This evolution, although the increase in strength is a very important reason, but if there's an opportunity, it's also possible it won't affect my future development." "How do you know it won't affect you?" Sima Yue asked. How do I know?" Little Seven was confused by her question. "You seem to know, but how do you know?" "It should be the inheritance that told you," Feng Kai said. "I don't have any ancestors. Where would I get the inheritance?" Little Seven couldn't think of an answer and was annoyed. She glared at Feng Kai. "No ancestors?" Feng Kai and the rest didn't know Little Seven's identity. They didn't think that she was a plant type. 4 plant-type spirit beasts like Little Seven and Little Blossom, although they were very powerful, they didn't have their own inheritance, because their memories couldn't be passed down through seeds. Only divine beasts with ancient bloodlines, auspicious beasts would receive the inheritance of their ancestors when they awakened their bloodlines. "Alright, don't think about it if you can't remember." Sima Yue didn't want to see her frowning face, so she patted her head and said, "As long as you know that it's beneficial to you, it doesn't matter if you can remember it or not." Little Seven wasn't the kind of person who would go down a dead end. Since she couldn't figure it out, then she wouldn't think about it. But what she didn't know was that there was indeed an inheritance in her mind, but plant-type spirit beasts didn't have any. "I wonder what kind of treasure is here. To make a strong practitioner kill everyone, seems like he doesn't want anyone to know about it." Baixing muttered. Everyone's curiosity was piqued by him. That's right, what kind of treasure could make a paragon rank cultivator kill everyone to silence them? But curiosity was curiosity. They didn't have the guts and ability to investigate. If they really met it, they would have to report to the ghost realm. Don't think too highly of it. People who die in the little realm can't go to the ghost realm. Baixing said. Can't go to the ghost realm? Isn't it connected to the ghost realm? If they couldn't go to the ghost realm, then wouldn't it mean that they wouldn't have a second chance at life? The immortal land is a special space. Every time someone dies, their soul can't leave here. No one knows why. Baixing said. See? Then we have to be careful. If we die here, we're really done for. Aniane said as he shrunk his neck. Chapter 1076. Read 336. There's a second life after going to the ghost realm? Little Seven asked curiously. Aren't people dead once they die? In our opinion, that is indeed the case. Please search Pin and Book Yen. Com. To see the most complete. But from another point of view, death is just a new life. Bai Sheng said. Sima Yue had an idea. Is death a new life? Why do you say that? Little Seven continued asking. After a person dies, their soul will enter the ghost realm. This was something that everyone knew. As far as I know, those souls that enter the ghost realm, if they can survive, they can cultivate again. If they are strong enough, they can also condense a body and survive. Will they remember what happened in the past? Sima Yue asked. I don't know, Bai Sheng said. After all, I've never really come into contact with these. I've only heard some news. Sima Yue recalled that she had heard similar words before. If this was true, then was it possible for the Shiman family to survive in the ghost realm? Wu Lingyu saw the hope rising in Sima Yue's eyes. He didn't have the heart to break it, but he didn't want her to be too stubborn about it either. He said, every day, there are hundreds of thousands of souls going to the ghost world from the human world and the devil world. But the ghost world isn't overcrowded. Do you know why? Because those souls are dead? Sima Yue asked. Souls can devour each other, and the ghost clan will also hunt souls. The souls that have just arrived in the ghost realm are very weak, and do not have the strength to protect themselves. Therefore, the chances of those souls surviving are very small. Will it be the same if we die in the ghost realm? Sima Yue asked. What do you think? Wu Lingyu asked. Sima Yue understood. It would be different if they went because they had been cultivating their souls. Even if they went to the world of spirits and souls, they would not be unable to protect themselves because they were too weak. After hearing what he said, the thought in her heart faded a lot, but it wasn't completely extinguished. In her heart, there was still a bit of hope. If they really survived, Shiman Feng looked at Sima Yue. Both of them were thinking the same thing. In the future, they must find a way to visit the ghost realm. It was just that she didn't know that she would go to the ghost realm in that way in the future. Alright, let's continue on our journey. Bai Sheng said. There are no more opportunities here, let's find the next one earlier. Who is it? Kiki. I was actually discovered. A sharp ear-piercing sound came from the mountaintop. Then clouds of black fog ran out from behind the mountain ridge. People from the ghost clan? Bai Sheng frowned. He didn't expect to see people from the ghost clan so early. It seemed like these people were also attracted by the previous battle. Sima Yue did not expect to meet people from the ghost realm, just as she was thinking about the ghost realm. Last time, she watched the people from the ghost realm leave right in front of her eyes, and even tried to plot against her. She was filled with anger towards the ghost realm. If it wasn't for the ghost clan's aura in her body, she would have died the moment she came into contact with that drop of blood. But even if she was lucky enough to survive, the ghost clan's aura in her body was completely stimulated. She even had to trouble Su Jin and Gulang to find a solution for her. Ghost clan, hand over everything you have on you, and then offer up your souls. Kiki, fresh souls will definitely be more delicious than those from before. The leader of the ghost clan licked his lips. Looking at these humans, his saliva almost flowed out. Fresh souls were great nourishment. It could increase their powers by quite a bit. A group of ghost clan came out from behind the mountain ridge. Their numbers were 2 to 3 times more than Sima Yue's group. So many people. Even Little Seven exclaimed. And all of them look fierce. Anayani pretended to be afraid. They are indeed fierce. Sima Yue nodded. These people are not strong. Wu Lingyu said. But even so, we are not their opponents. Anayani said. We don't have to do anything. Wu Lingyu said. Let Little Meng deal with them. Isn't Little Meng from the Devil clan? Can she deal with the Ghost clan? In the past, her clan existed in the Devil realm and Ghost realm. Wu Lingyu said. She is good at dealing with things from the Dark realm. Alright then. Sima Yue called Little Meng out. You finally let me out. Little Meng came out and said while giggling. Haven't you been busy with Thousand Resonance and the others in the Spirit Pagoda recently? Sima Yue pinched her little face. Then why did you call me out? Little Meng looked like she was in a hurry to go back. Hey, those people from the Ghost Clan want to kill us. They even said they want to eat our souls. Sima Yue said. What? Little Meng's voice suddenly rose. Who dares to eat your soul? I'll beat them up. Sima Yue was speechless and everyone burst out laughing. The originally gloomy atmosphere was stirred up by Little Meng and became much more relaxed. Little Meng turned around and saw the Ghost Clan people on the opposite mountain. She was so angry that she rolled up her sleeves. Ghost Clan? Damn, you want to eat my Yu's soul with your strength? Little Meng was angry. Her family's inheritance knew that the Ghost Clan had the habit of eating human souls. She didn't care if they ate other people's souls, but if they wanted to eat Yu's soul, that was unacceptable. Can you deal with them? Sima Yue asked. Humph, although there are many of them, they are just a bunch of shrimp soldiers and crab generals. Little Meng said disdainfully. Being looked down on by a little child, the Ghost Clan people were furious and shouted. Who do you think you are? How dare you look down on us Ghost Clan people? Humph, so what if I look down on you? Do you dare to bite me? Little Meng put her hands on her hips. That arrogant look was exactly the same as Little Seven. Sima Yue held her forehead with one hand. What was going on? In the future, the two of you are not allowed to play with Little Roar anymore. She ordered clearly. Little Roar had really led them astray. Little Roar was on Shimenfeng's shoulder and felt the evil aura emitted from Sima Yue's body. He subconsciously shrunk toward Shimenfeng's neck. Feng, or your sister is too scary now. Look at how easily she gets angry. I think she has already reached menopause. Little Roar whispered into Shimenfeng's ear. If you say that, be careful that she doesn't lock you up. Shimenfeng said that, but the smile on his face showed that he was in a good mood. He would not say that he really liked to see Sima Yue angry. Of course, that was on the premise that the anger was not directed at him. Compared to the past, her personality had changed too much. The pressure on her body was too great, causing her to lose a lot of her usual emotions. Even if she smiled, it rarely reached her eyes. Now that he could anger her a little, it would be good for her to change her expression. This book came from the Book and Book #web. Chapter 1077. Read 336. Sima Yue turned her head and glared at Shimenfeng and Little Roar. It was as if she was trying to tell them what to say. Cough cough. Shimenfeng coughed and pretended not to see Sima Yue's gaze. Little Seven patted Little Dream's shoulder and said, That's right, who would care about these fellows? Humph, ignorant humans. The ghost sneered. In a moment, I'll let you know how powerful the ghost race is. Noisy. Little Dream kicked off the ground and flew into the air. She hummed softly. Her voice was long and gentle, but when it landed in the ears of the ghost race, it was like a death sentence. What's that sound? The ghost clansmen covered their ears and screamed. However, even if they covered their ears, the sound still drilled into their heads. It was like sawing with a saw, causing their heads to feel like they were about to explode. Is this a sound attack? Fengji looked at Little Dream and asked excitedly. Sort of. Sima Yue replied. Little Dream was good at mental attacks. Speaking of which, what she was using now could be considered a sound attack. Quick, make her stop. The ghost clansmen couldn't take it anymore and shouted. But they couldn't move now. No one had the ability to make Little Dream stop. PFFF. Some of them couldn't take it anymore. They didn't know what Xiaoming had shown them, but she made them kill themselves with their blades. Blood flowed, and many people fell down because of this. Amazing. The people from Heartbreak Valley were stunned. The people from Ghost Clan were difficult to deal with. It was even more impossible for them to commit suicide. They did not expect Little Dream to do it so easily. At this moment, not far from here, the demons who were resting suddenly stood up. I'm not mistaken, am I? The red-haired woman exclaimed. Impossible. Another demon cried out. The nightmare race has already been exterminated by us. It is impossible for them to appear here. But this aura, that's right, it's the same aura we felt in the devil realm, the red-haired woman shouted. But the nightmare race has already been exterminated. There can't be any left. Were they really exterminated? Another red-haired man stood up slowly. Isn't there another one? Luoli, are you talking about the immortal body that was suppressed in the Yilin continent? That's right. Luoli said faintly. That guy, isn't he still alive? But she's been suppressed in the Yilin continent. There's no way she can escape. What's impossible? Did you see her with your own eyes? Lori said. When he said that, everyone fell silent. That's right. Although they knew that the only surviving Nightmare clan member was suppressed in the Yilin continent, no one had gone to verify whether or not she was still there after so many years. If she wasn't there, then this could very well be her. Thinking of the treasures on her body, they were all tempted. That was something everyone yearned for even in their dreams. Since it might be her, let's go take a look. The red-haired woman said. That's right, we'll know once we take a look. Luoli took the lead and flew in that direction. Ah, it hurts. I can't take it anymore. Those ghosts screamed nonstop. Those who could endure it were still holding on, while those who couldn't were all committing suicide. The bees in the distance saw many people flying towards them. There were also some demons, and they all reported to Sima Yue. Little Meng, someone's coming. End it quickly. Sima Yue instructed Little Meng. Little Meng nodded, and changed to a high-pitched song. Those who were still stubbornly resisting couldn't take it anymore. And they all took up their weapons and committed suicide. SSSSS. Those who were so arrogant just now were all committing suicide. Seeing this scene, the people from Heartbreak Valley were even more in awe of Sima Yue. There were always so many strong contracted beasts by her side. Very quickly, those thousands of ghosts were all taken care of by Little Meng. Her battle power was amazing. Yu, how am I? Little Meng ran over, looking like she was asking for praise. Little Meng is great. Sima Yue smiled and praised. Someone's coming. Wu Lingyu reminded. There are demons. Little Meng, do you want to go back and hide? Sima Yue asked. Why should I hide? Little Meng asked. Sima Yue was speechless. How was she going to tell Little Meng that she was suppressed in the Yilin continent by the demons? If she told her, would she continue to ask about her background? Those people aren't strong enough, there's no need to hide. Wu Lingyu said. But what if they spread the news about Little Meng? Sima Yue was worried. They can't come back, how are they going to spread the news? Wu Lingyu said. Moreover, even if they spread the news, the demons can't do anything to you. You have me. Sima Yue smiled. The words "you have me" warmed her heart. They're here. Sima Yue and the rest looked in front. A few figures flashed over. The aura they emitted was different from the ghosts. They made people feel pressured just by standing in the air. They're all experts. Shimin Feng said. These 10 over people are comparable to the thousands of ghosts just now. Baisheng said. Ah! Little Meng saw the red hair of the demons. She suddenly covered her head and cried out. Little Meng, what's wrong? Little Seven quickly hugged Little Meng, not knowing what happened to her. She looked at Sima Yue for help. Wu Lingyu walked over, both hands placed on Little Meng's head. After injecting some spiritual energy into her body, she suddenly closed her eyes and fainted. Sima Yue took Little Meng and kept her in the spirit pagoda. Wu Lingyu looked at the demons and said, they were part of the people who sealed Little Meng that year. Did seeing them trigger her memories? Sima Yue asked. It's possible. Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue's gaze darkened, thinking about the cruel scenes in Little Meng's memories. She actually didn't want her to remember the past. If she remembered the past, would her innocent and happy smile still exist? From Little Meng's scream to Sima Yue taking her back, it was only a matter of 1 to 2 minutes, but it was enough for Luo Li and the rest to confirm their guesses. It's indeed the Nightmare Clan. Luo Li licked his lips, his eyes shining, as if he saw his prey. I didn't expect that after so many years, she would actually break out of the seal. The red-haired lady Luo Li smiled evilly. This is even better. Saves us the trouble of going to Elin continent to find her. I'm afraid she didn't break out of the seal on her own, another demon said. It's obvious that the human below is her contractor. Pfft, if the Nightmare Clan knew that their only bloodline recognized a human as her master, I wonder if they would be so angry that they would come back to life. Luoli laughed. This book came from Pin and Book #net. Chapter 1078. Read 336. The nightmare race that used to be so arrogant, the nightmare race that sneered at everyone, the nightmare race that looked down on humans the most, had now recognized a human as their master. If word got out, it would be a joke. Say, if the contractor dies, the contracted beast dies. Does this rule apply to her? Someone asked. I don't know. Luoli said. She didn't die even after we treated her like that back then. Maybe this heaven's law doesn't work on her. I think it's very likely, another female devil said. Although she has a treasure protecting her heart, no matter what kind of treasure it is, it can't go against the heavenly Tao's rules, right? We'll know once we try, Luoli said. You want to kill that human? It's not easy to kill her, but how hard can it be to kill a human? Luoli did not take Sima Yue and the rest seriously. Let's make this clear first. After obtaining the Nightmare Clan, no one is allowed to have internal strife. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Lori warned everyone. Let's get the treasure first, then we'll talk about the distribution. If I kill that human, will I get more? A flirtatious woman smiled at Sima Yue. Her eyes filled with killing intent. Humph, Huanyang, don't even think about it. You want to get more points by killing a weak human? How can I let you monopolize such a good thing? Am I not asking for everyone's opinion? Huanyang winked at them and threw them 2 coquettish eyes. Those devils did not buy her words. Sima Yue's smile deepened as she listened to them discussing how to kill her. Very good. As expected of the demon race. They didn't even need to say much. They just wanted to take her life directly. However, how could her life be taken so easily? Yeah, let me do it. Huahua was in the spirit pagoda. Her words were filled with hatred. What's wrong, Huahua? Why are you so excited? Sima Yue asked. These people tried to kill me before. If it wasn't for the fact that they couldn't find my main route, I wouldn't be here anymore. Huahua said angrily. Right now, she was an enemy, and her eyes were blazing with hatred. They beat you up so badly last time. If you go out now, can you deal with them? Thousand Resonance said worriedly. Last time they had a lot of people and even a few experts. This time they don't have any helpers. Huahua said hatefully. Yu, I can handle these people. Let me do it. I want to avenge myself and Xiaomeng. Sima Yue saw that Huahua was determined and confident, so she called her out. Another little girl. The people from Heartbreak Valley saw Sima Yue call out Little Blossom and exclaimed softly. Huahua was different from Little Seven and Little Dream. Little Seven and Little Dream looked very small. Their faces were like that of a baby. Huahua's face had already grown, but her body was petite. She still looked very small. When Luo Li and the others saw Huahua, she was only in her original form. She didn't transform, so they didn't recognize Huahua when she was in her human form. Huahua, these bad guys want to kill you. Little Roar roared at Huahua from Shimenfeng's shoulder. He wasn't an aggressive spirit beast. In comparison, he was much weaker. In addition, he hadn't fully recovered from his injuries. It was even more impossible for him to go into battle. At most, he could only call out to Huahua and the others. These little brats dare to kill my contracted master. Huahua laughed coldly. Good, today we'll settle the old and new debts together. Back then, you destroyed my main body. Today, I'll use your blood as a sacrifice. Old debts. The people from the demon clan didn't know what Huahua was talking about. However, when they saw Huahua's main body, they finally understood what she was talking about. Huahua's 10 fingers turned into 10 vines. On each vine there were countless vines. These vines were filled with flowers that were as tall as a person. Every flower had a circle of golden patterns, indicating Huahua's identity. Man-eating flower king. Huanyang was also a plant-type spirit beast. When she saw the man-eating flower king, she instinctively trembled. Luo Li and the others didn't expect to meet the man-eating flower king here. Thinking of the old and new debts she mentioned, and thinking of the man-eating flower they killed back then, they shouted, "You're that man-eating flower! Weren't you killed by us? Back then you burned all of my vines. Unfortunately, you didn't find my main root. You didn't destroy my main root. Instead, you let me become the man-eating flower king." Huahua looked at them hatefully. "Since we helped you become the man-eating flower king, you should thank us. Why are you still looking for us to settle accounts?" Luo Li righteously said, as if Huahua was biting the hand that fed her to settle accounts. When Sima Yue saw Huahua coming out, the other party's momentum suddenly decreased a lot. They no longer had the arrogance they had when they wanted to kill her. It seemed that as long as they found their nemesis, even if they were dragons, they would become worms. In fact, it was no wonder that the demons were so afraid. The difference in strength between Man-Eating Flower King and Man-Eating Flower King was like heaven and earth. Moreover, Man-Eating Flower King could continuously reproduce new vines. It could be said that it was endless. A single person fighting was equivalent to hundreds of thousands of people fighting. If it wasn't for Sima Yue, this kind of fighting power could sweep through the entire demon world. Not to mention, after forming a contract with Sima Yue, she received a lot of power when she was promoted. Now her strength was much stronger than before. "Then I will kill you all, and let you become ghost emperors. You can thank me in the future." After Huahua finished speaking, countless flowers attacked the demons. The first to die was Huanyang. She was also a plant type, but she couldn't fight back in front of Huahua. In just a few moves, she was torn apart by Huahua. Although Luo Li and the others did their best to fight back and destroyed a few of Huahua's flowers, there were too many of them. Losing a few of them didn't affect Huahua much. Luo Li was surrounded by more than 10 flowers. She destroyed a few of them, but they were eaten by the remaining flowers. There were densely packed sharp teeth in the flowers. The teeth were poisonous. Once a person was eaten by Huahua, they would quickly be paralyzed and lose their ability to move. They could only watch as they were digested by the flowers. Flowey only took about 10 minutes to deal with the dozen or so demons. The people below were all stunned. What powerful fighting power! Someone said in a daze. I wonder who is more powerful, compared to Little Dream. No matter who is more powerful, they are more powerful than us. That's right. The most powerful one is still the Vice Valley Lord. All these powerful contracted beasts are hers. Is the Vice Valley Lord really a human? Why do I feel like we are not following a human, but a god? Forget it, the god of heaven is only a legend. The Vice Valley Master is the real thing. Hee. Luckily this is our Vice Valley Lord. If it was an enemy, we would be crying. This book came from the Book and Book #web. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.